Chapter 24:16. Haha, since Big Bro Kong is so generous, Yupanhu can't be stingy either. I'll sponsor 10,000 as well. Yupanhu finally found a chance to show off and he couldn't let it go. He wanted to build a good relationship with Boss Bai, so naturally he had to support him. Alright, since Yupanhu is paying, then you don't have to pay for yourselves. Let's pay from Yupanhu's 10,000. Boss Bai was quite satisfied with Yupanhu's performance. Although this guy was a bit of a spoiled brat, he was very active in class activities. Linny looked at Xiaolong and Yupanhu coldly. These two were together as soon as they arrived. They were in cahoots. No wonder Xiaolong came back to chase Xinyan. Did House Kong hook up with House Yu? Then, the harmful prescriptions that House Kong came up with could be explained. It was probably House Yu who came up with them and asked them to produce and sell them. However, what was the relationship between House Kong and House Yu? Linny still had to observe. The most important thing now was, should he go to the winter outing? Linny looked at Xinyan beside him and asked in a low voice, "Winter outing, are you going?" "It's a school activity." "Of course I have to go," Xinyan said nervously. "Oh, then I'll go too." Linny was looking at Xinyan. If she went, then he would naturally go. He didn't have much chance to improve his relationship with Xinyan, and it would be best if he could use the opportunity of the winter outing to resolve the awkwardness between them. On the surface, Xinyan didn't say anything. She pretended to be calm as she picked up the textbook, but in her heart, she felt helpless. Now that Xiaolong had come to her class, the flames of war between Lin Yi and Xiaolong were about to explode. She could tell from Lin Yi's tone when he helped her with the problem. Lin Yi was very unfriendly towards Xiaolong. But Xinyan couldn't say it out loud. She was afraid of hurting Lin Yi's self-esteem. In her mind, Lin Yi was a person with high self-esteem. Secondly, she was afraid that after she told Lin Yi the truth, Lin Yi would go against the Kong family prematurely, bringing unnecessary trouble to Lin Yi. As long as he endured for 4 years, Xinyan believed that with her help and Lin Yi's diligent training, standing at the top of the ancient sects wouldn't be a problem at all. Looking at the development of the past year, Lin Yi had gone from a small character who couldn't even compete with the common families to an existence that could almost compete with the hidden families. For years, he seemed to have underestimated Lin Yi. But no matter what, now wasn't the time for Lin Yi to go against the Sky Elixir sect. She had no choice but to remain silent. Boss Bai started his lesson. Xiaolong and Tiger Right. He began to study it in a low voice. "Big Brother Kong, this winter outing is a good opportunity. If you want to pursue Wang Xinyan, we should start planning," Tiger Right said. Xiaolong nodded. "That's why I donated the money. This is a good opportunity. Let's see how we can make use of it. I have a good idea. Do you want to hear it, Big Brother Kong?" Tiger Right and Wang Xinyan's relationship couldn't be good in a short period of time. After all, he was different from Xiaolong. Xiaolong and Wang Xinyan were officially engaged, and he and Han Jingjing weren't even friends. So he didn't want to get close to Han Jingjing during the winter outing. He only donated the money to please Boss Bai. "Go ahead, brother you. I'm really a noob when it comes to picking up girls," Xiaolong said shamelessly. "My idea is actually very simple. Let's go to the natural ski resort in Jiduan City first and see the environment of the ski resort. Then we will find a way to create some romantic events." Yupanhu said, "Don't girls like romance? And Wang Xinyan is your fiancé. You can invite her to do something romantic. I don't think it's a problem." "You're right." Xiaolong nodded in agreement. "I was going to ask my brother, but you're right, lil bro you. Let's go check it out this afternoon?" Xiaolong nodded. "Sure. I'll go with you." Tiger Right didn't just want to get close to Boss Bai and Han Jingjing. Getting close to Xiaolong was just as important. Naturally, he agreed. He came up with this idea because he wanted to get closer to Xiaolong. Hidden House Yu. Yu reported Yushu and Lin Yi's situation to Old Yu and Yu Shaoqin. In the secret room, Old Yu frowned. He seemed to be considering the feasibility of this plan. After a while he sighed. "Forget it. We can't kill Lin Yi for now. Let Yushu stay by his side. It'll be a distraction for him. As long as he doesn't meet with Yu Ning, the two of them shouldn't do anything to catch us off guard." Old Yu was just comforting himself. He didn't have the ability to kill Lin Yi. He couldn't do it openly or in the dark. He could only lie to himself. He hoped that he could keep an eye on Yu Ning and not let her meet with Lin Yi. Yushu could also keep Lin Yi in check. If there was any movement, she could tell him immediately. "We won't find trouble with Lin Yi, but with Lin Yi's growth speed, I'm afraid that Lin Yi will find trouble with us first." Shaoqin hesitated before voicing his opinion. "Lin Yi's growth speed is simply too shocking. When he destroyed the common world House Yu, we didn't think much of him at all, thinking that Yu Huixing would be able to take care of him. But now he's become our enemy in the blink of an eye. Yeah. Yui nodded. According to Miss Yushu's description, that Lin Yi is too strong. We can't poison him and the benzoin is useless against him. We can only hope that the matter will come soon. We'll send Yu Ning away and push the problem to that place. We won't have to worry about Lin Yi looking for trouble again. How can we guess what's going on in that place? Old Yu smiled bitterly. We can only do what they want us to do. But if we succeed this time, whether Yu Ning and the others come back or not, our hidden house you will become heroes. That place won't mistreat us. It seems like we can only endure it for now. Yu Shaoqian nodded. Not bad. As for Yushu, have you talked to her? Don't let anything happen between her and Lin Yi. Old Yu asked. Chapter 24:17. Old Master, I've already warned him, Yui replied respectfully. Alright, don't mention this in the future. Make it our top secret, only the three of us know about it. Don't tell anyone else. Old Ancestor Yu nodded. Little Qin, give House Qin a warning, don't let old Qin speak nonsense or he'll be wiped out. Yes, father. Shaoqian replied quickly. In that place, the Xianqian ancestor, who was meditating in the 8 trigrams diagram, suddenly opened his eyes. His eldest disciple Little E jumped in shock. Master, what's wrong? Why did you open your eyes all of a sudden? Senior brother is out, follow me to greet him. The Xianqian ancestor stood up and walked out of the room. Little E paused and quickly followed, following the Xianqian ancestor's footsteps out of the courtyard. After leaving the courtyard, the Xianqian ancestor walked towards a secluded cave at the top of the mountain. There were many disciples who greeted him when they saw him, but the Xianqian ancestor didn't have time to respond. He went straight up the mountain and came to the entrance of the cave. Patriarch Xuanqian's second and third disciples sat at the entrance of the cave abode. The two of them were disciples who protected Patriarch Xuanqian's senior brother. When they saw Patriarch Xianqian, they could not help but be slightly taken aback. They did not know why their master had come. Master, you're here. The waiter hurried over and bowed. The Xianqian ancestor nodded but didn't reply. Instead, he said loudly, Second senior brother, did you get anything from this isolation? Ah, Xianqian, you're fast. I just came out of isolation and you came looking for me. I can't even rest for a while. A powerful voice came from within the cave. This person was the second senior brother of the Xianqian ancestor, the Xuanjian ancestor. Second brother, I'm just worried about you. I'm just concerned about you. You've been in seclusion for 3 years, and I haven't even been able to see you once. So, I rushed over as soon as you came out of seclusion. The Xianqian ancestor heard that the Xuanjian ancestor's voice was loud and clear. He knew that there was nothing wrong with his body, so he let out a sigh of relief. One had to know that when a cultivator went into seclusion, this was a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. It was a double-edged sword. If it was used well, one's strength and cultivation would increase greatly. If it was not used well, one would go berserk and might even die. After all, to go into seclusion was to shut oneself away from the outside world. If he really went berserk, no one would know about it and no one would be able to save him in time. It was also possible for him to die in seclusion. Isn't 3 years a blink of an eye for you and me? Xianjian ancestor smiled as he walked out of the cave and said, Did anything big happen in the mountain while I was in closed-door cultivation? Patriarch Xianjian didn't look young either. He was a bit older than Patriarch Xianqian. From the way they dressed, they looked about the same. They both wore robes of the 8 trigrams and they looked like sages. Second brother. I'll tell you about the matters in the mountains later. How are you doing now? How is the harvest from this seclusion? Patriarch Xuanqian's expression changed slightly, but he quickly changed the topic. He didn't want his second brother to come out of seclusion. He didn't want second brother to come out of seclusion. Not really. Patriarch Xianjian sighed. You also know that at our level of strength, it is extremely difficult to improve further. Otherwise we would not have been able to do so. Otherwise we wouldn't have spent all these years trying to open Heaven State Island and use it as an opportunity to break through. That's true. Ancestor Xianqian nodded. You and I are both at the great perfection of the late stage of heaven rank. If we want to take another step forward, we will reach a whole new level. But even this step is extremely difficult to take. Unfortunately, the sect doesn't have any information about this. Even the method of breaking through has been lost. We can only open Heaven State Island to obtain the method of breaking through. That's right. Third brother, you should feel it too. It doesn't seem possible for us to break through Heaven State Peak late stage. With our current strength, we seem to have reached a saturation level. There is no point in cultivating anymore. Patriarch Xianjun said, if I'm not wrong, there should be a special mantra or method to break through this level. The previous cultivation method will be useless. That's right. This is also the reason why we are so determined to open Heaven State Island. Patriarch Xianjun said, that's right. Second brother, have you made any progress in alchemy? Can you refine level 4 pills now? I'm ashamed. If it's a level 3 pill, I have a very high success rate. However, if it's a level 4 pill, Ancestor Xianzhen shook his head helplessly. I don't have any confidence. I've tried a few times in closed-door cultivation, but they all ended in failure. I'm afraid only someone as talented as Big Brother can concoct a level 4 pill, right? Sai, speaking of Big Brother, I don't know if he has passed the hurdle in his heart. Patriarch Xianzhen smiled bitterly. All these years he hasn't taken the initiative to contact us, and we didn't dare to disturb him. That's right. If there hadn't been that accident, I'm afraid Big Brother would have no problem refining level 4 pills now. Patriarch Xianzhen sighed. When the time comes, the three of us will step into the heavenly law together and return to that level. How happy would that be? It's all my fault. I was too competitive and hurt Big Brother. Forget it, second brother. You don't have to blame yourself. It's normal to compete with each other. No one wants that accident to happen. Patriarch Xianzhen waved his hand and comforted him. But second brother, all these years you've focused on studying alchemy. You haven't even accepted a disciple. I'm afraid you also want to refine level 4 pills for Big Brother to consume, right? Of course. Patriarch Xianzhen nodded. I'm sorry, Big Brother. I've always been worried about him. Patriarch Xianzhen nodded. He knew Patriarch Xianzhen's feelings, but in his opinion, the past was the past. Big Brother didn't get along well with his two juniors. At least, Patriarch Xianzhen wasn't particularly close to him, so he didn't like Big Brother very much. In fact, all these years he had already found Big Brother's whereabouts and had his contact information. It was just that he didn't want to contact Big Brother. Xianzhen was a person who would do anything to achieve his goals. In his opinion, a useless senior brother couldn't possibly bring benefits to the sect, so he changed the fact that he didn't contact Big Brother to the fact that Big Brother wouldn't take the initiative to contact them. To be continued. Chapter 24:18. That's right, third brother, has my seclusion gone smoothly? Patriarch Xianzhen asked. All these years he had spent most of his energy on cultivation and alchemy. He basically didn't manage the matters of the sect. He only knew about Patriarch Xianzhen's plan but didn't participate. Second brother? Patriarch Xianzhen paused and said sadly, it's not going well, second brother. Something big happened a while ago. What? Something big happened? What happened? Patriarch Xianzhen's expression froze. He stopped in his tracks and turned to look at Patriarch Xianzhen. What happened? Second brother, Tagunlong has been crippled. Patriarch Xianzhen sighed and said bitterly. What? Tagunlong has been crippled? Patriarch Xianzhen was shocked. What happened? How did he get crippled? Second brother, it's like this. Patriarch Xianzhen explained Tagunlong's situation to Patriarch Xianzhen. When he was done, he said, originally, I placed my hopes on second brother. I thought that after second brother came out of seclusion, he would be able to refine a grade 4 elixir. Then he would be able to refine the Great Return Pill and the Great Meridian Channel Conduit Pill, but, if he could refine a grade 4 elixir, boss would also. Patriarch Xianzhen smiled helplessly. In the past 3 years, I haven't been able to make any breakthroughs. I reckon that in the next few years, I won't be able to make any progress. There's no hope for a grade 4 elixir, therefore I acted on my own and activated the backup plan. After all, a person with a 5 elemental constitution is quite difficult to find. After searching for so many years, we finally found Tagunlong, a 1 in a billion person with a compound constitution, Patriarch Xianzhen said. The backup plan? Patriarch Xianzhen nodded. He knew a thing or two about the backup plan, but it wasn't too detailed. Are you confident about the backup plan? Confidence? 50-50. Whether the spy succeeds or not depends on what happens next. Patriarch Xianzhen lowered his voice and whispered in Patriarch Xianzhen's ear. Patriarch Xianzhen was actually afraid that Little 2 and Little 3 would hear him. After all, only he and Little 1 knew about this. Patriarch Xianzhen nodded and said, I hope it succeeds. I really didn't expect such a big thing to happen in seclusion this time. There's no other way. If it doesn't work this time, I can only slowly find another person with a suitable constitution. Patriarch Xianzhen of Patriarch. Tagunlong, Other than using grade 4 pills, is there no other way to recover? Patriarch Xianzhen asked. Second brother, you can go and take a look. Other than that, I really can't think of any other opportunities, Patriarch Black Earth said. Then there. Patriarch Xianlong Patriarch, he's true. The two of them quickly came to the room where Taganlong was recuperating. Although Taganlong's injuries were under control, he had not woken up yet. His pulse was very messy, and Patriarch Xianzhen was only temporarily holding on to his life. It was impossible for him to recover. Tongclan. Patri, dragon-eyed Patriarch of carefully. Patriarch Fang's right. In the blink of an eye, school ended at noon. There was no class in the afternoon, so Lin Yi said goodbye to Wang Xinyan and walked out of the classroom with Han Jingjing. Xiaolong wanted to go over and talk to Wang Xinyan, but he gave up when he thought about what happened today. He guessed that Wang Xinyan wouldn't be nice to him if he talked to her now, so he could only give up. Moreover, he had an appointment with Right Coiling Tiger to go to the natural ski resort in Jiduan City. So he left the classroom with Right Coiling Tiger. Big bro Lin Yi, are you trying to scam Right Coiling Tiger's herbs again? Han Jingjing asked Lin Yi after leaving the classroom. Yeah, we don't have any herbs on hand, so we can only get them from Right Coiling Tiger, Lin Yi said. Since this kid came to us, there's no need for us to let him go. Oh, then how should I cooperate? Han Jingjing nodded. She didn't refute Lin Yi's suggestion at all. Next time he comes to talk to you and asks you something, just say that you lack herbs. Every time he comes, you ask him for herbs until he realizes that he's been tricked and stops falling for it, Lin Yi said. Okay. Han Jingjing nodded. After Right Coiling Tiger realizes that he's been tricked, he won't look for trouble with me, right? If he does, just tell him that I was the one who told you to do this. Tell him to come to me. Lin Yi took the trouble directly. He wasn't afraid of Right Coiling Tiger. Jingjing understands, Han Jingjing nodded and said. There were no classes in the afternoon for medicine, but Mengyao and Yushu had classes in the afternoon. Lin Yi called Mengyao and asked her to have lunch together. Lin Yi and Han Jingjing arrived at the Economics Faculty's building, and saw Mengyao and Yushu not long after. Seeing the smile on Yushu's face, Lin Yi let out a sigh of relief. It seemed that Shu's problem was solved, but Lin Yi couldn't figure it out. Who was the one who ordered Shu to assassinate him? Who could order Shu around? Or, in other words, what reason did they have to make Shu do this? It was just that Shu didn't want to talk about it and Lin Yi couldn't force her. As long as she looked fine, Lin Yi was relieved. Lin Yi looked at Mengyao and Mengyao nodded at him, indicating that Shu was fine. What do you want to eat for lunch? Lin Yi asked. Do you want to eat in the cafeteria or outside? Let's eat outside. Shu wants to have a big meal, Yushu said after some thought. Today's incident had allowed her to get away with it, and it made Shu feel like she had survived a disaster. Especially since she didn't have to target Lin Yi anymore, she was very happy. She wanted to have a big meal to celebrate. Okay, let's go out for a big meal, Lin Yi nodded. Should we call Xinyan sis? Yushu suggested. I'll ask. Lin Yi wouldn't have called Xinyan if he was eating in the cafeteria, but it was better to ask if he was going out. He dialed Wang Xinyan's number and asked, Xinyan, where are you? Jingjing, Yao and Shu are going out for some food. Do you want to come? Me? Xinyan hesitated. Normally Xinyan would have said yes. After all, she was close to Lin Yi, Yao and Shu, and Han Jingjing was in the same class. She couldn't say no. Chapter 24. An unexpected encounter, but the situation was different now. She didn't want the Sky Elixir sect to be angry at Lin Yi, so she purposely kept her distance from Lin Yi. I'm not going, I'll go with Meiwei and Ling to the cafeteria. Xinyan, who's treating you to a meal? Why are you saying no? Meiwei's voice sounded. It's Lin Yi, you guys still have classes in the afternoon, let's go to the cafeteria, Xinyan said. Afternoon classes are at 2, it's still early. Meiwei snatched the phone from Xinyan. Lin Yi, you don't mind if Ling and I go with you, right? Naturally, I don't mind. Lin Yi smiled, then called by Weituo and Zhao Xingji over as well. Okay, Meiwei agreed right away. Xinyan didn't know what to say, but she couldn't explain it. What should she say? Was she afraid that her fiancé would do something to Lin Yi? If she told the truth and Xiaolong heard about it, how would she explain it? She hoped that Xiaolong wouldn't see it and agitate him. Xinyan comforted herself in her heart. Then let's go. Xinyan helplessly took out her car keys and prepared to go to the parking lot. Meiwei, on the other hand, called by Weituo. Xinyan saw Lin Yi, Han Jingjing, Mengyao, and Yushu from afar when she got to the parking lot. She was familiar with all of them, but it was a little awkward to meet them again. She'd just rejected Lin Yi's confession yesterday, and now she was eating with Lin Yi again. It was weird. Meiwei and Xiaoling were used to Lin Yi being surrounded by beauties. It was something between Xinyan and Lin Yi after all. Xinyan says she'll bro missed you so much. He kept looking left and right. Yushu called out to Xinyan. Xinyan blushed a little and Lin Yi, on the other hand, was happy. He wasn't happy that Yushu had spoken up for him, but that Yushu was back to her usual playful self. It seemed that her problem had been solved. Yeah, Lin Yi kept talking about you. Mengyao put in a good word for Lin Yi. Is that so? Xinyan's heart skipped a beat. It was a feeling that made her heart beat faster. Did she really like Lin Yi? But what should she do? Xinyan realized that ever since Lin Yi confessed to her, her heart wasn't calm anymore. Xinyan thought that she could pretend to be a normal friend in front of Lin Yi, but some feelings couldn't be faked. Her heart raced when she saw Lin Yi. It was a feeling that scared her, but it made her reminisce. Meiwei and Xiaoling looked at Mengyao and Yushu in surprise. Although Lin Yi said that he was asked by a relative to take care of Mengyao and Yushu, he lived with them. But Mengyao and Yushu were so pretty, and Lin Yi was living under the same roof as them. He couldn't say that he had nothing to do with them. Meiwei and Xiaoling didn't believe it. After all, who wouldn't be moved when two pretty girls were in front of them? So it was natural. They thought that Mengyao and Yushu were Xinyan's enemies. But now they were surprised to hear that Mengyao and Yushu were helping Lin Yi chase after Xinyan. Xinyan, it seems like you and Lin Yi have a good relationship. You missed him just after class, Meiwei teased. Yao Yao and Shu are joking, right? Xinyan said nervously. Haha, joking or not, we all know about your relationship with Lin Yi, Xiaoling said with a smile. Sigh. Xinyan was really helpless. Her relationship with Lin Yi couldn't be explained anymore. It seemed like there was no way he could explain it. He could only hope that Xiaolong didn't hear about it. What if he got angry and asked Zhao for help? After a while, Bai Weitua and Zhao Xingji ran over. Bai Weitua said breathlessly, I say Lin bro, why didn't you say earlier that you were going to treat us? Zhao Xingji and I were waiting in line to sell our food, and we left when it was almost our turn. We wasted 20 minutes, we should have gone back to the dorms to rest. It was a last-minute decision, Lin Yi said with a smile. Why are you guys talking so much when you're here to freeload? Two cars, a Grand Cherokee and a Porsche Cayenne, left the school one after the other, arriving at a rather luxuriously decorated restaurant near the school. The restaurant looked nice, but it didn't have a private room. It was probably because it was close to the school and the cost of living here was lower. It wasn't worth it to get a private room. There were booths in the hall, and Lin Yi and the others chose a bigger booth and walked over. Halfway there, Lin Yi felt a gloomy and resentful gaze directed at him. Lin Yi turned around and saw Xiaolong and Tiger Right, as well as Tiger Right's two colorful underlings. They were sitting in a booth not far away eating. Xiaolong was naturally furious when he saw Lin Yi and Xinyan walk into the restaurant side by side. If it was before, Xiaolong wouldn't be this angry. After all, he didn't have the right to be angry. House Kong had always been a weak existence in front of Lin Yi, but it was different now. He was the brother of the fifth elder's disciple, and his confidence was inflated. Xiaolong felt like he didn't know his place anymore. But Lin Yi only looked at Xiaolong faintly, not wanting to greet him at all. He turned around and went back to his booth with Xinyan and the others. Fuck. Xiaolong cursed angrily, but he was afraid that Lin Yi would beat him up if he heard it, so he lowered his voice. His confidence was inflated, and he thought that he had the background to compete with Lin Yi, but he wasn't an idiot. He didn't think that Lin Yi wouldn't dare beat him up if he cursed at Lin Yi now. Although there were a lot of rules in Boss Bai's class, if you scolded and provoked others first and got beaten up, Boss Bai probably wouldn't stand up for you as long as you weren't beaten to death. It seems like Xinyan is interested in Lin Yi. Tiger Right clicked his tongue when he heard Xiaolong's cursing. That should be the case. Do you have any good ideas, brother you? Xiaolong was a PhD, but he knew nothing about picking up girls. He could only ask Tiger Right for help. Go ahead, yellow hair. Although you coiling Tiger had a lot of women, they were all materialistic women who would come after throwing money at them. He coiling Tiger had never pursued a woman who truly played with his feelings. Therefore he might as well let yellow hair make the move. Chapter 24:19. Kong bro master you, from what I see that Wang Xinyan has feelings for Lin Yi. We just need to think of a way to destroy her feelings for Lin Yi. Once Xinyan loses her feelings for Lin Yi, Kong bro will have a lot of things to do, Huang Mao said after some thought. Oh? What do you mean? Xiaolong's interest was piqued. He didn't dare fight Lin Yi head-on, and he wouldn't do something that would get him beaten up easily. But from what Yellow Hair was saying, it seemed like he didn't need to fight Linny head-on, and that he could just use a roundabout way to get the job done. That was great. Kong bro, we don't actually need to do anything. We just need to do this. Huang Mao lowered his voice and told Xiaolong his idea. Not bad, not bad. Xiaolong thought about it and nodded. Then I'll leave it to you, brother Huang Mao. I'll treat you to a meal after it's done. Don't worry about it. It's my honor to be able to do something for Kong bro Kong. Go. Panhu Right actually wanted to make Linny suffer as well. Linny had screwed him over a couple of times already. Linny looked at Huang Mao faintly but didn't say anything. These people were sitting in a secluded area, and Xinyan and the others hadn't noticed their existence yet. It was Yushu's treat, and so he let her order first. After she was done, it was Mingyao, Xinyan, Han Jingjing, He Meiyue and Chai Xiaoling's turn. Bai Weitua and Zhao Xingji on the other hand, didn't do anything. They were just gluttons after all. A ringtone sounded and Linny picked it up, surprised to see that it was Lingshan. Lingshan. Linny couldn't call her silly girl in front of so many people, but to be honest it felt good every time. Linny didn't know if he had some sort of bad taste in his mouth, but calling her silly girl gave him a sense of satisfaction. Thank you, Linny. The kidnapping case has been closed and it really was done by the firewolves. The one who turned himself in was a small leader of the firewolves. Lingshan stopped there because she knew very well that this small leader was probably the scapegoat. But as of now, it was very hard to find evidence to take down the firewolves. The fact that the firewolves were able to participate in the hidden house meeting showed that the firewolves had a lot of connections and power. Haha, it's good. Linny had expected this situation. Although the mastermind was most likely Jiang Wen, he was still a smart guy. He didn't leave any evidence behind, so there was no way he would do it himself. The only time he did it was because of Mengyao, and he brought Lin Yi to the surgery table. In the end, Lin Yi's kidney wasn't cut out and he lost one of his own. Didn't we agree that I'll come find you after this is over? Lingshan asked. Lin Yi sighed. Oh, I'm free in the afternoon. You can come over now. We're at the young master chef's restaurant in the university city. Now. Okay. Lingshan paused but agreed. After hanging up, Lin Yi looked at the confused faces of his classmates. A friend of mine is coming as well. Lingshan, Yao Yao, Shu, Xinyan, you guys know each other? Oh, it's Lingshan, sis. Mengyao nodded, but didn't understand why Lin Yi would ask her to eat at this time. Not long after, the dishes hadn't even arrived when Lingshan walked in. She was a practitioner too and her eyes were sharper. She saw Lin Yi right away and walked over with a smile. Lin Yi, Yao Yao, Shu, Wang, Xinyan. Have a seat, Lingshan. How come you're so fast? Lin Yi was surprised at Lingshan's speed. I'm nearby. Most of the victims are students from around here and Xinyan is here too. It saves me the trouble of looking for you. Lingshan wanted to close the case, so naturally she had to find the victims one by one. I see. Lin Yi nodded. Bai Weitua, on the other hand, was a little surprised. He thought that Lingshan was around the same age as Lin Yi, but it didn't seem like it. He looked at Lingshan curiously. This big sis is... Oh, I forgot to introduce you guys. This is my good friend Lingshan. She's the captain of Donghai's criminal investigation team. You guys can look for her if you have any trouble in the future. Lin Yi said. Ah, Captain Song? Bai Weitua's eyes wide. He didn't expect Lingshan to be so powerful at such a young age. More importantly, she seemed to be quite close to Lin Yi. How about this? If he ever met people like Li Biaohan who wanted to extort money, he could just look for Lingshan. He Meiyue's eyes lit up, and the way she looked at Lin Yi changed. She knew that Lin Yi was very capable, but she didn't know that Lin Yi had this many connections. Bai Weitua, Zhao Xingji, and the others were introducing themselves when a girl with heavy makeup ran over. She looked at Lin Yi, Bai Weitua, and Zhao Xingji before hugging Lin Yi and yelling, Lin Yi, you heartless bastard. You got me pregnant and now you're ignoring me? I'm a high schooler. If I didn't know that you're a student from around here, I wouldn't have been able to find you. The sudden appearance of this girl made everyone's faces very weird. They didn't know what she was up to. Xiaolong, Tiger Right, and Yellow Hair, who had just returned, were all smiling proudly, especially Xiaolong, who gave Yellow Hair a thumbs up. Today's incident was done beautifully. It didn't matter if Lin Yi could resolve it or not, it would still leave a nail in Xinyan's heart. Many people would rather believe in something like this than not. What did they mean by there's no smoke without fire? If there was really nothing wrong with Lin Yi, why would she come looking for him? Even if Lin Yi explained, it wouldn't matter. Yellow Hair said that he had a backup plan. Even if Lin Yi settled it today, he'd spread the news tomorrow and make it sound like Lin Yi had no choice but to give the girl some money. When that time came, even if Xinyan didn't believe it, she'd probably avoid suspicion in front of everyone, right? But just as Xiaolong was feeling pleased with himself, Lin Yi suddenly spoke. Chapter 24:20. Huh. Bai Weituo froze when he heard Lin Yi's words. What does this have to do with me? Huh. The girl froze when she heard Lin Yi's words. Did she cry to the wrong person? Judging from what this person was saying, the one sitting over there was Lin Yi, and this person was his friend? The girl regretted her actions. She thought she saw it clearly when the yellow hair pointed at her. Who would have thought it was him? But in order to be worthy of the 1,000 kuai she'd taken, and the reward she'd get after the deed was done, the girl had no choice but to raise her head and look at Lin Yi apologetically. I was in too much of a rush, I mistook you for someone else. With that, she threw herself into Bai Weituo's arms and cried, Lin Yi, you heartless bastard. You got me pregnant and now you don't care about me? I'm a high school student. If I didn't know you were a student from around here, I wouldn't have been able to find you. Bai Weituo was speechless. What was going on? However, as the saying goes, bystanders have a clear view of things. He Meiwei understood a little and didn't take it seriously. Although the little girl jumped into Bai Weituo's arms, this was obviously strange. How could Bai Weituo become Lin Yi? Mengyao and Yushu on the other hand were the same. Xinyan, on the other hand, was a little startled when the delinquent girl came looking for Lin Yi. She had to admit that she really did care about Lin Yi, and that made her feel a little uncomfortable. She could accept the fact that Lin Yi had someone else. After all, Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao were both before her. This was something that couldn't be changed. However, she couldn't accept that Lin Yi was someone who liked the new and hated the old. Although the girl's appearance wasn't that good, Wang Xinyan still remembered her. She didn't think too much about it. At this moment, the girl turned back into Bai Weituo's arms. Xinyan felt that something wasn't right. Captain Song, there's obviously something wrong with this delinquent girl. She doesn't even know who Lin Yi is. Why are you crying so sadly? At this moment, Lin Yi said faintly, I think we should bring her back to the police station to take a closer look. There must be an inside story. After listening to Lin Yi's words, the delinquent girl was slightly stunned. She was obviously a little dumbfounded. He turned to look at Lin Yi and suddenly understood what was going on. It turned out that he had not mistaken Lin Yi for someone else. He was the real Lin Yi, but he had been deceived by his words. This made her a little angry but also a little afraid. Bring him back to the police station? There are policemen among them? Song Yunxian nodded. Naturally, she could tell that there was something wrong with this matter. Therefore, she took out her identification and showed it to the delinquent girl. Please come with me. I think your behavior is cheating. The delinquent girl was completely dumbfounded this time. She was just greedy for the 2,000 yuan and came here to put on a show. However, he didn't expect to bump into the muzzle of a gun. There were policemen at this table, how was this good? Subconsciously, the delinquent girl turned to look at Xiaolong's table and the blondie. Xiaolong and the others were feeling smug and wanted to see how Lin Yi would make a fool out of himself. Who would have thought that the situation would suddenly change? Kong bro master you, let's go. The blondie saw the delinquent girl look over and immediately understood. Of course, he wouldn't admit to it even if he was beaten to death, and Lingshan couldn't do anything to him without evidence. Plus, he didn't get anything from House Yung, the yellow hair was fine, but he was afraid that Xinyan would find out the truth. If that happened, his help would be for nothing and he'd end up worse off. Xiaolong would hold a grudge against House Yung that wouldn't be worth it. Xiaolong felt that something wasn't right after listening to Lin Yi's strange words. The delinquent girl jumped into Bai Weituo's embrace and repeated what she said to Lin Yi. Xiaolong's face turned green. Later, when he heard Lin Yi mention Lingshan again and bring the delinquent girl to the police station, Xiaolong knew that things were getting out of hand. If the delinquent girl spilled the beans about the blondie at the police station, Xinyan's impression of him wouldn't be good. Isn't this Xiaolong and Tiger Yu? Why are you in such a hurry to leave? Your food isn't here yet, is it? Do you want to join us and eat together? Lin Yi called out to Xiaolong and Tiger Yu. Lin Yi had seen through their plan from the start. Lin Yi was a mid-phase peak master after all, and he noticed that Xiaolong and Tiger Yu were acting suspiciously. It didn't look like they were up to something good, so he paid more attention to them. It seemed that these people wanted to leave after seeing that their plan was exposed. Xinyan didn't know that Xiaolong was here, but she was confused when she saw Xiaolong and Tiger Yu getting up to leave. Blondie, don't leave. Didn't you say you didn't have anything? Why are there police here? The delinquent girl panicked when she saw that the blondie was leaving, obviously leaving her behind. She couldn't care less anymore and called out for help. Who are you? I don't know you. The blondie denied the girl's name. Weren't you the one looking for me, telling me to come talk to Lin Yi? The girl panicked when she saw that the blondie was ignoring her. Don't say things like that. When did I look for you? Are you crazy? The blondie humphed. Kong bro master, you ignore her. There's something wrong with this girl. Officer sis, I'm going to tell on that yellow-haired guy. He's the one who asked me to frame Lin Yi. Don't arrest me. The girl was panicking as she turned to Lingshan. He's the mastermind. Don't arrest me. Go arrest him. Fuck, what's wrong with her? The blondie frowned. What a crazy person. Kong bro master, you, I'm sorry. The blondie said that this had nothing to do with him, but no one here was stupid, especially Xinyan. She looked at Xiaolong and the others helplessly, thinking that Xiaolong was probably doing this to hurt Lin Yi and make her disappointed in Lin Yi. Xinyan became even more vigilant after realizing this. Why was Xiaolong such a devious person? If this didn't work out, he'd probably use other dirty tricks next time. Xinyan didn't want to hurt Lin Yi, so she had to keep her distance from Lin Yi. Xiaolong, Tiger Yu, the blondie, and the purple hair quickly left the restaurant, not daring to say another word to Lin Yi. Proportion. Chapter 24-21. Lin Yi smiled as he watched them leave in a hurry. Song Lingshan felt helpless as well. After all, she couldn't arrest the hidden house Yu directly. Even the blonde didn't have any evidence, but she understood what Lin Yi meant. Once the truth was revealed, they would achieve their goal. Big sister police officer, I was wrong. This is the 1,000 yuan that yellow hair gave me. I don't want it anymore. When the little girl saw the yellow hair and the others leave, she was a little dumbfounded. She knew that she had been abandoned. It's fine, you can leave. Lin Yi waved his hand, gesturing for the girl to leave. After all, the truth was out. It didn't matter if she was caught or not. Lingshan was only going to teach her a lesson. Lin Yi still had to give Lingshan a qi-gathering pill in the afternoon, so he didn't have the time to study the girl. Can I really go now? The delinquent girl was pleasantly surprised. You can leave. Don't let others use you for small profits again, Lingshan nodded. Since the victim Lin Yi didn't say anything, she wouldn't do anything. Thank you. It won't happen again. I knew those people weren't good people. The girl thanked Lin Yi profusely and cursed the blonde's group before leaving carefully. This farce ended just like that. Lin Yi smiled helplessly. Lin bro, did you Pan Hu and the others find this person? Bai Weitua asked. That Kong Xiaolong, he called himself Xinyan's fiancé. He probably doesn't like me, Lin Yi said. Ah, Xinyan, that person is your fiancé? Bai Weitua was a little surprised. Xinyan frowned. She didn't expect Lin Yi to reveal her and Xiaolong's identity. But thinking about it, she couldn't hide it anymore. Even if she didn't say it, Xiaolong would. Didn't he jump out to cause trouble on the first day? It was the family's decision, Xinyan said. That was the same as admitting her relationship with Xiaolong. Ah, it's true. Imewa stared at Xinyan shocked. Then you and Lin Yi. I told you Lin Yi and I are just friends. Xinyan didn't seem to want to say too much. Alright, let's not talk about that. Even if I were to marry Xiaolong in the future, it'd be after I graduate from university. He doesn't have the right to interfere with my life while I'm in university. Imewa looked at Wang Xinyan. Then he looked at Lin Yi. Bai Weitua, on the other hand, was more practical. He couldn't help but sigh. Xinyan, can't you break off the engagement? You and big brother Lin are so compatible. Haha. Xinyan sighed. There were some things she couldn't explain. It's the family's decision, I can't do anything about it. Alright, Bai Weitua, can't you call me big brother Lin? I'm not used to it. You're not a girl either? Zhao Xingji finally asked the question in his heart. You think I want to? I call him Boss Bai. Some of my old friends call him Boss. If I call him Boss Lin Yi, wouldn't that be too much? Bai Weitua said helplessly. I see, that's true. Zhao Xingji nodded. Xinyan let out a sigh of relief. Zhao Xingji's interruption was a good one, he'd managed to change the topic. Lin Yi looked at Xinyan. He felt that she didn't mean what she said. She never mentioned Xiaolong when they were being intimate. She didn't even remember, or she wouldn't have taken off her clothes to be with him. But now she brought up Xiaolong. He could tell that she didn't like Xiaolong, but why would she help him? And Xiaolong was coincidentally in class, the day after Lin Yi's confession. What was going on? It wasn't realistic to get an answer from Xinyan. It seemed like he had to find a way to ask. Because of what happened earlier, the meal wasn't very enjoyable. They didn't stay long after the meal. Lin Yi sent Xinyan and the others back to school and drove Han Jingjing and Lingshan back home. You're pursuing Xinyan? Lingshan was a detective after all. She could see the triangle relationship between Lin Yi, Xinyan, and Zhaolong. With Bai Weitua's question, it was pretty much the truth. Yeah. Lin Yi nodded. He didn't deny it. There was no need to hide this. Many people knew that he confessed to Xinyan. Can't you think about others? Like girls that you can hook without pursuing? Lingshan said, annoyed. You mean Shu? Lin Yi asked. Silly girl? Lingshan said softly. Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. He turned around and saw Lingshan's blushing face. She looked like a little girl. People who didn't know her would think that she was a pretty girl from a humble family. In fact, it had been a long time since Lingshan showed this side of her in front of Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't call her dumb girl for a long time, and calling her Lingshan sounded more intimate and proper. But when she thought about it, she felt that only dumb girl, brain-dead girl, and the like were the proper terms of endearment between lovers. Was there something wrong with her? Lingshan sometimes thought about this question. When she called herself silly girl, it was like she was Lin Yi's exclusive property. It was quite a feeling. He looked at Han Jingjing, who was writing on her tablet. Lin Yi coughed awkwardly. Our relationship, isn't it? That's what you said. I'm relying on you now. Lingshan was very happy to hear Lin Yi comparing them to a couple. She knew that it was just an excuse from Lin Yi, but she still took advantage of the situation. Aren't you relying on me now? Since when did I leave you behind? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. That's true. Lingshan thought about it. It was true that Lin Yi always thought of her when there was something good, but their relationship had always been lukewarm. They couldn't take it any further, and Lingshan had even prepared herself for dual practitioning. Who knew that Lin Yi would give her a solo practitioning? Lin Yi bro Jingjing will be going first. Han Jingjing, on the other hand, didn't seem to hear the conversation at all. She got off the car the moment she got home and waved at Lin Yi. Okay, you can go first. Lin Yi nodded. This Han Jingjing girl was really weird. She liked him but she never got jealous. She didn't like him but she only shared her good stuff with him. Chapter 24-22. Han Jingjing's background made Lin Yi more and more curious. He sighed before turning to Lingshan. Help me investigate Han Jingjing's identity and family. All right. Lingshan said. It was easier for her to investigate but she still said, but if she's from a noble house or a hidden noble house or even higher, then I won't be able to investigate. You can tell that she's not normal? Lin Yi was surprised. Normal people don't need me to investigate them, Lingshan smiled. That's true. Lin Yi nodded and entered the villa with Lingshan. This is your new home? I've never been here before, Lingshan said curiously as she looked at Lin Yi's new place. I really envy Yao Yao and Shu. Lin Yi could only smile bitterly at Lingshan's words. He didn't know if she envied Yao Yao and Shu for living in such a big villa, or if she envied them for living together with him. Alright, where's the chi-gathering pill? Lingshan saw Lin Yi's awkwardness and didn't make it hard for him. Love had to be done step by step. He couldn't just eat everything in one go, could he? Lingshan was a little envious of Xinyan. She was Lin Yi's classmate and Lin Yi's desk mate too. These two hadn't interacted much before university, and Lin Yi and Xinyan weren't even that close to Lingshan, but in just a few short months of school, the two were already close enough to be boyfriend and girlfriend. Lingshan couldn't help but be envious of Lin Yi. But Lingshan didn't have that kind of advantage, so she had to do it step by step. Here's 3 chi-gathering pills, one for you, one for Yutian and one for Junbro. Give them to them. I won't ask them to come and get them one by one. There's no danger with this, other than feeling a little sad. There's no other side effects. Just hold on, Lin Yi said as he passed a bottle to Lingshan. All right. Lingshan said as she took the bottle, a little disappointed and happy at the same time. If it had been in the past, she would have been very happy to get a small chi-gathering pill to help her break through to Earth stage. Earth rank was a rank that she had never dreamed of. But now, Lingshan's mind was on Lin Yi, and Lin Yi gave her the bottle the moment he arrived. After she took the bottle, wouldn't she have to leave very quickly? Lingshan's face darkened at the thought. What's wrong? Lin Yi sensed Lingshan's disappointment as well. It's nothing, I'll head back first then. The kidnapping case isn't over yet, I still have some things to do. Lingshan didn't want to put Lin Yi in a difficult position, so she prepared to leave. Lin Yi could see that Lingshan's interest was waning, and he understood why she was like this after some thought. However, Lin Yi really hadn't thought about the problem between him and Lingshan. It wasn't that Lin Yi didn't like Lingshan, it was just that the two didn't have many opportunities to interact with each other, and Lin Yi did have a good impression of her. But there wasn't any opportunity to develop their relationship, and their relationship had been stagnant. He'd be lying to himself if he said that he'd accept Lingshan right away. Alright, then I won't keep you. Silly girl, I've been quite busy lately and I still have a test in a few days. We'll meet up when I come back, Lin Yi said. Lingshan felt a lot better after hearing Lin Yi's words. She felt much better. It seemed that Lin Yi still cared about her. The two hadn't reached that step yet, but there was still hope. Lingshan was happy again. She realized that. When she was with Lin Yi, she really did seem like a silly girl because she felt that she was a little silly. After sending Lingshan off, Lin Yi went to the villa's backyard, preparing to activate the 6th and 7th forms of the Fiery Fist. Logically speaking, he was an Earth-class late-phase peak now, and he should be able to activate the 6th or even 7th form of the Fiery Fist. If he could activate the 6th and 7th forms of the Fiery 8 Trigram Palms, then it would be quite heaven-defying. It would be equivalent to a Sky-class early-phase peak or even early-phase peak. He had just broken through yesterday, and with what happened with Shu, Lin Yi didn't have the mood to study martial arts. Now that he had time and nothing else to do, Lin Yi naturally started thinking about martial arts. Lin Yi started channeling the mantra for the Fiery Fist. This was a martial art that Lin Yi relied on a lot. Although there was a stronger Fiery 8 Trigram Palms later, Lin Yi still hadn't given up on the Fiery Fist. This was the foundation. Without the 6th and 7th forms of the Fiery Fist, where would he get the 6th and 7th forms of the Fiery 8 Trigram Palms? As for Pu Lao's sky-splitting earth-splitting claw, Lin Yi didn't plan on practicing it. That thing wasn't very powerful and it was only effective against Pu Laolu. Now that he was dead, there was no point for Lin Yi to practice it. Fiery Fist 6th form. Lin Yi followed the method of activating the 6th form of the Frenzy Fist easily. It could be said that he had succeeded on the first try. However, Lin Yi wasn't satisfied with the 6th form because it was within Lin Yi's expectations. A Mid-Earth class could activate the 5th form, Fiery Fist. If a peak Mid-Earth class couldn't activate the 6th form, then it would be a bit of a regression. Lin Yi's main goal today was to activate the 7th form, Fiery Fist. If he could activate the 7th form, then he would definitely be able to successfully activate the 7th form, Fiery 8 Trigram Palms. Therefore, after activating the 6th form, Lin Yi didn't stop. Instead, he continued to activate the 7th form in one go. Fiery Fist 7th form. Regrettably, Lin Yi had channeled the 7th form of the Frenzy Fist's mantra and activated it according to the 7th form, but he was stuck at the moment of activation. The 7th form of the Frenzy Fist didn't succeed. Lin Yi shook his head, but he wasn't discouraged. After all, for other practitioners, being able to activate a new martial technique within 10 tries was already very impressive. To succeed after failing once or twice was already a genius amongst geniuses. Lin Yi had only failed once. There was a similar situation before, so after resting for a while, Lin Yi once again activated the 7th form of Fiery Fist. Fiery Fist 7th form. Lin Yi yelled again. What made Lin Yi feel a bit regretful was that he still didn't succeed this time. Although Lin Yi was a martial technique genius, he still didn't succeed this time. This could be said to be a pity. Lin Yi sighed slightly and frowned, but he didn't give up. It seemed like he'd have to go back to his old method, starting from the first stance of the Frenzy Fist. Chapter 24-23. Then he practiced the first form, the second form all the way to the 6th form, and finally the 7th form, Frenzy Fist, was executed in one go. Lin Yi rested for a while, then started to chant the mantra of Frenzy Fist. He started from the first form, second form, 6th form, everything went smoothly. Lin Yi finally started to execute the 7th form, Frenzy Fist. Boom. The 7th form, Frenzy Fist, was executed from Lin Yi's right fist. The burning pure energy was even more powerful than the 6th form. The purple lightning beast and skybolt pig who were watching from the side, subconsciously shivered. General Wei Wu, on the other hand, had accepted the fact that Lin Yi was extremely powerful since it was just a normal dog, so it didn't feel anything special. Phew. After Lin Yi successfully executed the 7th form, Frenzy Fist, he let out a long breath. Although the 7th form, Frenzy Fist, was executed in one go, in Lin Yi's eyes, it wasn't perfect. He could only barely execute it. This was very different from the perfect execution of the 6th form. He needed to get used to it for a while. Otherwise, although the power was great, he wouldn't be able to unleash the power of the seventh form. After this, Lin Yi tried to execute the seventh form of Frenzy Fist on its own. This time he could barely execute it, but the power was much weaker than when he executed it in one go. It was only slightly stronger than the sixth form. It seemed that he still needed to practice the seventh form. It was probably because he had just broken through to the peak of the middle phase of the Earth class. Although he had the resting grass to stabilize his strength, the time he spent breaking through was too short. It was already not easy for him to execute the seventh form. However, Lin Yi wasn't too disappointed. Since he could execute the seventh form, Frenzy Fist, he just needed to practice it slowly. Next, Lin Yi wanted to try the Frenzy 8 Trigrams Palm. To Lin Yi's surprise, Lin Yi was able to smoothly activate the sixth style of the Raging Fire 8 Trigrams Palm, but when it came to the seventh style, he couldn't activate it no matter what. Fortunately, Lin Yi was mentally prepared. Starting from the first style of the Raging Fire 8 Trigrams Palm, he activated it all the way to the second style, the third style, all the way to the sixth style. Lin Yi was prepared to activate the seventh style in one go. However, Lin Yi was disappointed. The seventh form of the Fiery 8 Trigrams Palms didn't come out in one go. It was a failure. From the looks of it, the seventh form of the Frenzy Fire 8 Trigrams Palm and the seventh form of the Frenzy Fire Fist corresponded. Lin Yi was temporarily unable to use the seventh form of the Frenzy Fire Fist, so it was reasonable that he was unable to fuse the 5 elements 8 Trigrams Palm with it. Xiao Chen was afraid that he would have to activate a martial technique that he was familiar with before he could fuse it with a new martial technique. If the two martial techniques were not familiar with each other, it would be impossible to fuse them. Thinking of this, Lin Yi also gave up on continuing to experiment. He would wait until he could familiarize himself with the seventh style of Frenzied Fire Fist. Naturally, he would be able to successfully activate the seventh move of the Frenzy 8 Trigrams Palm. Lin Yi wiped the sweat off his forehead and was about to return to the villa to rest when his phone rang. He took out his phone. Lin Yi frowned. It was an unfamiliar number. Hello? Lin Yi picked up the phone. Hello, I'm Brother Gamble. Brother Gamble said carefully, may I ask, are you Brother Expert? Brother Expert? Lin Yi was stunned for a moment. Then he remembered that he did not tell Brother Gamble his name, and the account he gave to him was anonymous. Naturally, Brother Gamble did not know his name. So he said, Brother Gamble, have you prepared all the money? Yes, Brother Expert. Thank you for giving me a few more days. I've already prepared the money. When Gambling Bro said this, his heart was bleeding. One had to know that he had spent most of his life fighting to become the boss of a casino from a hooligan on the streets. After taking a huge risk and earning money for such a long time, he had only accumulated around 100 million in assets. Of course, these assets were not in cash, but in real estate and stocks that he had invested in various places. Lin Yi asked for another 20 million in one go. Brother Gamble naturally could not take out so much money in a short period of time. In desperation, he could only sell a few properties and borrow money. After gathering enough money, he transferred it to Lin Yi's account. He did not dare to renege on the debt. There was a heaven stage expert in this group of people, and they did not even care about the hidden Zhao family's name. These people were obviously not to be trifled with, so Brother Gamble clenched his teeth and transferred the money. Not bad, at least you kept your promise. Lin Yi didn't think that Brother Gamble would be so obedient. He said he would give the money. Lin Yi had a lot of debts outside, but he did not collect them. For example, the hidden house Zhao and House Yu. But these people were clearly planning to renege on the debt. They had always been enemies with Lin Yi, and Lin Yi knew that he would not be able to get them back. So when he had the chance, he would strike them down. Just like a few days ago when Elder Bai was crippled. If they had just paid up and made Zhao Qikuan the head of the house, perhaps Lin Yi would have let them go. After all, the hidden house Pai and the common house Wu had been against him before, and Lin Yi had let them go after they joined him. So it seemed that Lin Yi was a person who was easy to talk to. Brother Gamble smiled helplessly. Right after we left, did House Zhao's boss Zhu go find you? Lin Yi asked. He did. What? Brother Gamble paused. He didn't understand why Lin Yi would ask this all of a sudden. Seeing that you paid up so easily, I'll remind you of something. Lin Yi said, your casino, move out as soon as possible in case you attract some unexpected trouble. Brother Gamble paused, but he felt that Lin Yi wouldn't say things without thinking. There must be a reason for this, so he asked carefully, Expert Bro, what do you mean? Someone from the hidden house Zhao died, so they won't dare to find trouble with me, but I'm afraid that on your side. Lin Yi didn't say it too clearly. After all, Linny was just guessing. Think about it yourself. Thanks. Brother Gamble's back was covered in cold sweats. He hadn't thought about it that much before, but now that he thought about what Linny had said, wasn't it exactly like that? Boss Jew had come and asked him about some things, and Brother Gamble didn't think much of it at the time, but after thinking about what Linny had said, he felt that something was wrong. No matter how he looked at it, Boss Jew seemed to be trying to get him to push the responsibility onto the casino. It's nothing. Linny didn't think that Brother Gamble was this smart, understanding it so quickly. Naturally, he didn't know that Brother Gamble had thought about Boss Jew's words and made a decision so quickly. Chapter 24-24. Boss Jew did want to blame the deaths of the Zhaos on the casino. Gambling Bro didn't do his job well, causing the deaths of the Zhaos. Hidden House Zhao wouldn't dare cause trouble for Lin Yi, but they needed someone to vent their anger on. Otherwise, how would they survive in Donghai? They were the #1 house in the area after all, and had a higher position than the Hidden House Han. If they didn't care about the deaths, then the Hidden House Zhao's name wouldn't be that useful in the future. Therefore, while Boss Jew didn't leak the news of Old Master Pai and the others, he shifted the blame to Gambling Bro at the casino. Old Master Zhao naturally couldn't take this lying down, so he was looking for a chance to get back at Gambling Bro. Gambling Bro hung up the phone, cold sweat dripping down his back. He wanted to find a way to sell the casino, but this was an illegal business. People who didn't have a certain level of power wouldn't dare take on the casino. The people in the underworld all knew their limits. Everyone ran their own businesses and they didn't cross the line. Asking someone to take out a huge sum of money to buy the casino wasn't very realistic. Although the house in the casino was rented, the gambling equipment in the casino was also worth 30 to 40 million yuan. Coupled with a steady flow of customers, even if the price of 50 million yuan was not too much, it was just that there were not many gangsters who could take out 50 million yuan. Everyone had properties in their hands and they had a bunch of brothers under them. Who could take out that much cash? Gambling Bro flipped through his phone book, his face full of worry. After calling Gambling Bro, Linny thought for a while and called Lingshan again. Linny. Lingshan was pleasantly surprised when she saw Lin Yi's call. Silly girl, are you busy? Linny asked. I'm fine, I just finished my statement and I'm thinking about closing the case. I have to go to Hao Sen's villa later to verify some things with Jiang Wen and in Mingyue, Lingshan said helplessly. She knew very well that the mastermind was most likely Jiang Wen, and the one who came out to take the blame was just a follower. But there was nothing she could do. There wasn't enough evidence to do anything to Jiang Wen. Oh, that's perfect, Linny said. When you go to Jiang Wen's place, give him some information. Message? What message? Lingshan was a little puzzled. She didn't know what Linny was trying to tell Jiang Wen. Plus, if Linny wanted to tell Jiang Wen something, wouldn't he go find Jiang Wen himself? They said that Gambling Bro is very rich, so they extorted 20 million to get his daughter back. Moreover, I extorted 20 million yuan a few days ago. The casino is really a good place to make money, Linny said. Brother Gamble really runs a casino? Where is his territory? Lingshan asked subconsciously. She had been paying attention to Gamble Bro since a while ago. Rumor had it that Gamble Bro owned a casino, but Lingshan hadn't been able to find out where his base was. Plus, the kidnapping case was the most important thing right now, so she decided to put the casino aside for now. Don't worry about this for now. Wait until Jiang Wen gets everything under control. If you take some people to raid his casino, it will be a great achievement. Linny said. Let Jiang Wen take over the casino? Lingshan wasn't stupid. She paused and understood Lin Yi's intention. He wanted Jiang Wen to think that the casino was profitable so he would go find Gambling Bro to take over the casino. But Lingshan was still a little puzzled. Can Jiang Wen go to the casino? Plus, can Gambling Bro do it? Of course he can, Linny said confidently. And Gambling Bro will be in a hurry to do it? Linny thought. Jiang Wen's kidnapping business couldn't continue anymore, so naturally he would have to find other ways to earn money. From what Jiang Wen had done in the past, this guy always played with small capital and big profits, or he even played with no capital at all. The casino was very profitable. Although it wasn't as fast as kidnapping and extortion, it was a long-term livelihood. If Jiang Wen took over the casino, then the income would be endless. Especially when she told Lingshan to talk to Jiang Wen about this. It gave Jiang Wen a false impression. That the police didn't care about this casino. After all, Lingshan had mentioned the casino, but they didn't raid it. How could they not think about it? And so, if Jiang Wen were to take over Gambling Bro's casino, then he'd be jumping into a huge pit. He'd have to face the hidden house Zhao's wrath first, and even if he solved this problem, Lingshan would raid the casino afterward. He'd probably lose a lot this time. Alright, but isn't that a little immoral? You let him take over the casino and then I raid it? Wouldn't that be a big loss for him? Lingshan felt that Linny was just messing with her. He's done so many bad things and you can't do anything to him. Don't you want to get back at him? Linny asked. That's true. Lingshan nodded. Then I'll mention it to him. We'll see how it goes. If it really doesn't work, then forget it. Linny didn't want to trouble Lingshan. That's fine. Gambling bro is a victim too. It's fine to mention it. Lingshan said. After hanging up, Linny smiled. Messing with Jiangwen was something he'd come up with on the spur of the moment. Linny hadn't liked the kid for a long time, and naturally he wouldn't let things go so smoothly. He trained on the bed for a while and it was time for school to end. Linny left the villa and drove to pick up Mengyao Yushu and Han Xiaoqiao. He drove to the parking lot and saw Boss Bai walking to the parking lot with the car keys in his hand. It seemed like he was going out. Master Bai. Linny greeted with a smile. What's Linny? Boss Bai smiled when he saw Linny. Linny was a student he had high hopes for, and while he couldn't concoct pills yet, Boss Bai had high hopes for him. After all, Linny was his life savior. Naturally, Boss Bai hoped that he could learn more things from him. How is it? How's your control of the fire? Any progress? Linny smiled bitterly. He didn't expect Boss Bai to care about him this much. He'd been busy with the hidden house meeting in Wulonghout Mountains. He hadn't even gone to class for a few days, so where would he find the time to study pill concoction? He did come up with a combined pill concoction technique with Han Jingjing, but it wasn't something that could be replicated. It would be a bit shocking if he told people about it. Linny couldn't tell the truth to Boss Bai either. After all, they weren't close enough to talk about everything yet. Although Boss Bai had also given him some notes and materials of the refiner, it was all based on the fact that Linny had once saved Boss Bai. The relationship between the two was not only that of a teacher and a student, but also that of a savior. Chapter 24-25. It doesn't matter. You seem to be quite talented, but your body seems a bit strange. You can condense alchemic fire, but you can't control it. I can't figure it out either. You don't have the fire attribute in your body, right? Otherwise, Boss Bai shook his head and said, Don't worry, I will help you find a way. Don't worry too much. Linny looked at Boss Bai's earnest eyes and suddenly felt ashamed. He thought to himself, I'm not worried. Although I can't make alchemic pills, Han Jingjing and I can make alchemic pills together, so I don't have to worry too much. The most important thing now is to improve my strength. Thank you, Mr. Bai. Linny was very touched in his heart. Right, Mr. Bai, if I may ask, if you are not injured, can you make a third-grade alchemic pill at your peak? Third grade? Boss Bai laughed proudly. At my peak, third-grade alchemic pills are a piece of cake. I can even try to make fourth-grade alchemic pills. I can make one in a year. Fourth grade? Linny clicked his tongue. Boss Bai is really a badass. Linny secretly thought, can Boss Bai's meridians be repaired? Boss Bai lost his strength because his meridians were damaged. If Boss Bai's meridians were healed, can Boss Bai make third-grade alchemic pills for me? However, after Boss Bai's injuries are healed, can Boss Bai regain his previous strength? If Boss Bai can easily make third-grade alchemic pills and even fourth-grade alchemic pills, then his strength should be at the peak of the late stage of Heaven stage. Even if Linny helps him heal, his strength can only be restored to the early stage of Earth stage, and he still has to rely on the small chi-gathering pill. Later on, the road of cultivation still depends on Boss Bai himself, and Linny can't restore his strength at the moment. Although alchemists recover true chi and physical strength faster, Linny still doesn't know the specific situation of Boss Bai. Linny still doesn't know. Moreover, Linny knew Boss Bai's identity and background. He had been holding a relatively hesitant attitude. A powerful alchemist. When he was young, he was probably not a simple figure, and he seemed to have some relationship with the Heavenly Elixir sect, which made Linny even more unable to make a decision in a short time. I'm already old. It's all in the past. My alchemy career in the future will depend on you. Maybe you can refine 5th or even 6th grade pills? Boss Bai smiled and said, Teacher Bai, you must be joking. How could I? Linny smiled bitterly and shook his head. I have high hopes for you. Boss Bai patted Linny's shoulder and said, I'm leaving now. I have something else to deal with today. If you have any questions, you can come to my office directly. You can also call me. All right. Teacher Bai, Linny nodded as he watched Boss Bai get on an old Passat and leave the campus. Linny couldn't help but shake his head. This Boss Bai's car wasn't as good as Bai Weitua's, and Bai Weitua's was AQ7. It didn't take long for Mengyao Yushu and Han Xiaoqiao to come over. They got on the car and Linny drove them straight home. On the road, Linny said to Mengyao, "Right, our biology faculty is having a winter outing this weekend, we're letting the whole class go." "Oh, go then. You can cultivate your relationship with Xinyan." Mengyao said straightforwardly, "Don't worry about me and Shu, we'll just stay at home. We won't go out and cause you any trouble." "Thank you." Linny nodded, touched. When he wasn't home, Mengyao and Yushu didn't dare to go out casually. Although they were all Mengyao's enemies before, they were all his enemies in the future. Rather than saying that he was protecting Mengyao and Shu, it was more accurate to say that they were dragged down by him. He wasn't a bodyguard, but a bodyguard. "What are you thanking me for?" Mengyao smiled. "Since when did you become so polite?" "Then I won't be polite," Linny said. A week passed by quickly. In this week, Linny found time every day to practice the 7th form of the fiery fist. Finally, he was able to do it with some familiarity, but he wasn't very familiar with the 7th form of the fiery 8 trigrams palm. He could only use it now. But Linny wasn't in a rush. After all, improving every day was better than not improving at all. In fact, Linny knew that he was being a little too hasty this time. If he could slow down a little before using the 7th form, it would be a piece of cake. But he had just broken through to Earth class mid-phase peak and he had just used the 6th form. He was too impatient to start using the 7th form now. It was all thanks to the omnipotent technique that he was able to get to where he was today. Ever since Pan Huyu and Zhao Long found a delinquent girl to harm Lin Yi in the restaurant and almost exposed themselves, the two were much more well-behaved this week. They didn't go near Lin Yi's place after class and they were quiet during class. They didn't cause any trouble for Lin Yi. But Lin Yi didn't let his guard down just like that. He knew very well what kind of personalities these two had, and the fact that they were holding back right now meant that they were planning something even bigger. Who knew what these two were up to this time? Lin Yi guessed that if they were going to make a move, they would do it during the winter outings. After all, the rules were looser during the winter outings and Boss Bai wouldn't interfere too much. As for Jiang Wen, it was just as Lin Yi guessed. After Ling Shan left, he found Scorpion and Little Chun. "The casino business is quite profitable. There's one in Donghai and I'm planning to take it over." Jiang Wen was tempted. "Little Chun, you've trained enough. I'll let you take care of the casino business alone. Is that okay?" "Of course not. Thank you, Master Wen." Little Chun was overjoyed. Taking care of the casino wasn't as easy as following Jiang Wen around, but the benefits were huge. The casino made a lot of money every month and as long as Little Chun took some of it, it would be enough for him to eat. Jiang Wen didn't seem to mind him doing it, so naturally Little Chun was overjoyed. "I'll find Gamble Bro and take over his casino in the next few days," Jiang Wen said. "Master Wen, if you just take over the casino, will Gamble Bro agree?" Scorpion asked after some hesitation. Chapter 24-26. "Hey, he has to give us what we, the Firewolves, want." Jiang Wen smiled coldly, "Unless he doesn't want to live anymore. But the police have found out that it was us who kidnapped his daughter. What if Gambling Bro doesn't give us the casino out of anger?" Xiaochun was a little worried. "So what if he knows? He has to give it to us no matter what. With the people around him, he's dead meat." Jiang Wen humphed. "If he knows what's good for him, he'll give me the casino and I'll give him a good price. If not, humph." "That's right, our Master Wen's style is always domineering." Scorpion nodded. It was as Jiang Wen said, Gambling Bro was no match for him. Even if he forced him to sell the casino, he'd still have to sell it. So what if he forced him to sell it? Would he dare to call the police? And so, Jiang Wen asked for Gambling Bro's phone number and called him. Gambling Bro had been troubled these days. There were a few people in the underworld who were interested in his casino, but they couldn't bring out the money right now. They said that they could pay him in installments, giving him 20 million this year and the remaining 30 million next year. Although the total was also 50 million, Gambling Bro wouldn't agree to it. He wasn't afraid that these people would go back on their words, but he was afraid that the casino wouldn't even last until next year. He would agree to it normally, but now that he'd offended the hidden house Zhao, who knew if they'd flipped the casino upside down one day? Who would he go to for money then? He wanted to sell 50 million in one go and run away with it. If there were any problems with the casino, it would have nothing to do with him. Gambling Bro didn't expect that the leader of the Firewolves in Donghai would call him. To be honest, Brother Gamble hated the Fire Wolf gang. His daughter was kidnapped by the Fire Wolf gang. Although the Fire Wolf gang pushed out a scapegoat, how could Brother Gamble, who was also in the underworld, not know the inside story? Without the permission of the boss, would the lackeys dare to do something like this? Not to mention a big gang with strict rules like the Firewolves. Even a small gang wouldn't do it. Gambling Bro's lackeys wouldn't dare to give out chips to their customers without his permission. Obviously he didn't dare. As a result, Gamble Bro knew very well that Jiangwen was the mastermind behind all this. It was just that the police didn't have any evidence and Gamble Bro couldn't do anything about it. Since he wasn't as good as the other party, Brother Gamble could only lower his head and patiently pick up the phone. "Young Masterwen, give me a call." "What's the matter?" Brother Gamble took a deep breath and forced himself to speak. "Gamble Bro, your casino is quite profitable, isn't it?" Jiangwen said nonchalantly. Gamble Bro's heart skipped a beat. He didn't know what Jiangwen meant by that, but he said carefully, "You must be joking, Masterwen." "My little income is nothing to Masterwen. The Firewolf gang is a big business while I am just a small one. Besides, young Masterwen also knows about my daughter's kidnapping. This is an unlucky year for me. How much money do I have?" He's already in huge debt. Gamble Bro said that because he didn't want Jiangwen to borrow money from him or blackmail him. Therefore he first made himself sound more pitiful. "Gambling Bro, if that's the case, I have a good idea." Jiangwen's eyes lit up after listening to Gambling Bro's words. It really wasn't a problem at all. "Masterwen, what do you mean?" Gamble Bro's heart froze. He didn't know what Jiangwen was planning. "Gamble Bro, since you don't think the casino is profitable and you lack money right now, why don't you just sell the casino to me?" Jiangwen said, "I've been thinking of opening a casino. I've been thinking that after I open a casino, I'll definitely steal your business. No matter what, Gamble Bro is a senior in Donghai's gambling scene. That's why I told you about it. But now, since you think it's hard to run a casino, then let me run it. We don't have to compete with each other and hurt each other." Jiangwen was just making things up. How could he open another casino? Even if he wanted to, he didn't have anyone who knew how to do it. From the dealer to the waiters, they all needed professional training. Jiangwen didn't have the time to find someone to train them. Plus, the gambling equipment and customers were all things that Jiangwen had to worry about. He didn't have the time to open another casino. The reason why he wanted Gamble Bros casino was because the dealer, waiters, and gambling equipment were all ready-made. He didn't need to spend any effort on it. He could just take over and earn money. But he said that to scare Gamble Bro. "If you don't sell it to me, I'll open my own casino and steal your customers." "Don't cry." "Ah?" Gamble Bro paused. He didn't expect something good to happen to him out of nowhere. He was starting to suspect that Jiangwen was plotting something. "Masterwen, you're not joking, are you?" "Do I look like I'm joking?" Jiangwen heard that Gamble Bro's tone wasn't right. He thought that Gamble Bro was scared. He was very pleased with himself. "Gamble Bro, I'm very busy. I don't have time to joke with you." "Then Masterwen, you mean?" Gamble Bro tried his best not to laugh out loud as he asked carefully. "I've been to that casino of yours before. Judging from the scale, it's worth about 50 million. If you're willing, I'll give you 60 million. Is that okay or not? Just say it." Jiangwen's estimation was pretty accurate. He didn't want to waste time with Gamble Bro. 60 million? Gamble Bro didn't expect Jiangwen to give him that much. His original price was 50 million. If he could pay on the same day, 40 million would be fine too. He didn't want to waste time, but he didn't expect Jiangwen to be this generous. "What, you think it's too little?" Jiangwen humphed, a little unhappy. "Don't be greedy. I'll use this money to open another one. You won't be like this now." Gamble Bro wanted to say that he didn't think it was too little. He just thought that you're giving me too much. You can't get someone to kill me after I take the money, can you? But then he remembered that he was going to leave soon. Out of the 60 million, there was 20 million that he gave out before. Didn't that make it 40 million? It was exactly what Gamble Bro wanted. Good things really did fall from the sky. "You don't agree?" Jiangwen's cold voice sounded again. "I agree." Gamble Bro took a deep breath and calmed himself down. "But I need cash. I owe someone money and I need to pay it back as soon as possible." Chapter 24-27. Sure. Jiangwen didn't have much, but he had a lot of cash. 60 million was nothing to him, so he agreed easily. "All right, the casino will be yours then, Master Jiangwen. I wish you all the best for your business." Gamble Bro was overjoyed. I'll send someone to hand it over to you later, but in order to ensure that the firewolves take over smoothly, don't tell the public that the casino has been transferred. Just tell your men to take care of it. Jangwen was afraid that the sudden change of boss would cause a loss of customers. After all, a lot of people came to play because of Gambling Bro's reputation. They weren't familiar with the new boss, and they didn't know if the casino would be safe or not. So Jangwen decided to keep this a secret. That's no problem. Brother Gamble smiled bitterly. Originally, he wanted to say that if he didn't announce that the casino had changed the owner, the hidden Zhao family might go after him. However, after thinking about it, Brother Gamble didn't say it. If it were someone else, Gamble Bro would remind them, but Jangwen was someone who kidnapped his daughter and extorted 20 million from him. He'd be happy if he fought House Zhao to the death. Plus, he was going to leave soon. He didn't care if Jangwen was in trouble or not. Trouble was the best. He fell right into Lin Yi's trap. Lin Yi had a lot of things to do these days. He had to train, participate in the winter tour, and also the Sky Elixir School's test. He didn't have time to fight House Zhao and the Firewolves. With Lin Yi's current strength, it wasn't like he couldn't win against them, but dealing with one hidden House Zhao was hard enough, not to mention fighting on two fronts. Most importantly, Lin Yi didn't know if House Zhao and the Firewolves had other people supporting them. He might as well use some tricks to make them fight first. Things were going according to Lin Yi's plan. Xiao Chun easily took over Gamble Bro's business, and Gamble Bro took the 60 million and told the manager about it. He told the manager to be responsible for Xiao Chun, and then he happily ran away with his daughter, leaving Donghai City. This sum of money, in addition to his previous business, was enough for him and his daughter to live comfortably for the rest of their lives. When that time came, who would know that he was once a gambler? When Xiao Chun took over Brother Gamble's casino, the casino started to turn a profit. It wasn't a bad pay. Xiao Chun was very happy as she reported the progress to Jangwen. Jangwen felt that it wasn't a bad idea at all. This casino bro was quite smart, letting go of the casino. The profits weren't that high, but it was a stable long-term investment. The casino was making money even when Jangwen was resting. And so, after tasting the sweetness, Jangwen decided to turn his attention to some fixed businesses. Although a business without capital could make money quickly, it was not easy to find a business without capital. It wasn't something he could do all the time, and so this kind of stable and profitable business entered Jangwen's sights. In the blink of an eye, it was Saturday. Today was the day of the biology department of Donghai Industry University's winter outing. Lin Yi looked at the students with big and small bags and couldn't help but smile. It seemed that after a period of school life, although he had gradually integrated into this comfortable life, there were still some differences in the details. All the other students in the class were carrying bags. There were snacks, fruits, and drinks, but Lin Yi didn't carry anything. He was very free. But there were exceptions. Han Jingjing didn't carry that many things. She only had a small bag with a bottle of water in it, and the tablet that never left her side. Even Wang Xinyan was carrying a small backpack, but that was normal. Han Jingjing was a special case and Wang Xinyan was a normal girl. It was normal for her to bring snacks and fruits. Is the bag heavy? Do you want me to help you? Lin Yi stood together with Wang Xinyan and Han Jingjing and asked with a smile. Xinyan felt uneasy. She glanced at Xiaolong and Tiger right from time to time. She was supposed to be with Xiaolong, but she was with Lin Yi instead. She didn't know if this was a blessing or a curse. Xinyan didn't know for sure. She wanted to keep some distance from Lin Yi and not cause trouble for Lin Yi, but Lin Yi was beside her and she couldn't tell him to leave. She was so anxious that she didn't hear what Lin Yi said. "Ah. I said, can I help you?" Lin Yi asked. "No. It's okay, it's not heavy." Xinyan's heart skipped a beat and her face reddened. She was about to pass the bag to Lin Yi when she remembered Xiaolong and quickly rejected Lin Yi's good intentions. Lin Yi didn't mind. After all, Xinyan's bag wasn't big and there shouldn't be a lot of things in it. After a while, at 10 o'clock, a few buses drove into the school and stopped in front of the biology building. There weren't many people from the medicine major, and there were still quite a lot of empty seats. The other majors, on the other hand, were a little more crowded. Even so, many students would rather stand or squeeze with others than get on the buses of other majors. After all, there was no one they knew on the bus and it was quite a boring journey. But there were exceptions. When they got on the bus, Lin Yi saw Bai Weitua and Zhao Xingji appear out of nowhere, each holding a girl's hand. Who else could it be but He Meiwei and Chai Shaoling? In Xinyan's room, Lan Xiaoru was the only one who hadn't come. Lin Yi didn't interact much with her, and she didn't hang out with Xinyan, He Meiwei or Chai Shaoling. Since Han Jingjing was with them this time, Lin Yi couldn't sit with Xin Yan like he did during the military training. He had to go to the last row of the bus and the three of them sat together. Xiaolong, Tiger Right, Yellow Hair and Purple Hair were planning to sit in the last row as well, but Lin Yi had already taken 3 seats. There were only 2 left, so they had no choice but to sit somewhere else. He Meiwei sat next to Xin Yan, and Bai Weitua sat on the other side of her. Lin Yi, why didn't you and Han Jingjing bring anything? He Meiwei looked at Lin Yi and Han Jingjing curiously. Their roommates didn't bring much, and the reason was that Bai Weitua and Zhao Xingji had told them to bring a lot of snacks and fruits, so they didn't have to bring too much. Chapter 24-28. However, Wang Xinyan didn't bring much and Lin Yi and Han Jingjing didn't bring anything. Would their snacks be enough to eat? Jingjing and I don't like snacks. Lin Yi smiled and said, Big brother Lin, this is a healthy diet. It's really not healthy to bring so many high-calorie snacks like us. There are restaurants at the ski resort, Bai Weitua said. Then why did you bring so much? He Meiwei pointed at Bai Weitua's backpack and rolled her eyes at him. Didn't I bring this for you? Bai Weitua said with a bitter smile. After the people in the car sat down, the car slowly drove out of the school. Soon they were out of the city and on the highway. Bai Weitua, come and distribute the safety travel manual for the winter trip to everyone. Boss Bai waved to Bai Weitua and said, This is the first group trip in our university life. I hope that everyone will pay attention to safety while playing. Don't do anything dangerous. In this winter trip travel manual, there are some rules and regulations, as well as some emergency handling methods after encountering danger in the winter field. I hope that everyone will read it carefully after getting it. Bai Weitua quickly walked forward, took the winter trip travel manual from Boss Bai's hands, and began to distribute it one by one. After Lin Yi took the manual, he casually flipped through it and found that the manual was quite well edited. There were many ways to deal with danger and emergency situations, which was very suitable for this winter trip. However, these things were a bit child's play compared to the knowledge Lin Yi had mastered. However, Lin Yi still said to Han Jingjing and Wang Xinyan, This manual is quite useful. You guys read it carefully. And then, Han Jingjing put down the tablet in her hand and opened the manual to read it carefully. Wang Xinyan also flipped through it after listening to Lin Yi's words. He Meiwei, on the other hand, was a little disinterested. She casually looked at it and put it away. Lin Yi didn't say much. After all, He Meiwei wasn't his girlfriend, and the knowledge in this manual was just to be prepared. Like the winter trip organized by the school, as long as they didn't go to those dangerous places, there would generally be no danger. Not long after, the car suddenly slowed down. In the end, it simply stopped. Boss Bai, on the other hand, received a call from the car in front of him. He frowned slightly and then said to the students in the car, You may have to wait patiently for a while. There's a car accident on the highway ahead. A truck transporting lumber has overturned, and the lumber has blocked the highway. It's being treated urgently. Ah? The students on the bus all sighed. The winter outing was supposed to last for 2 days. They would go this morning and come back tomorrow night. However, with the traffic jam, it was estimated that they would only arrive in the afternoon. Imperceptibly, they would lose some time to play. Damn. Right Coiling Tiger frowned when he saw the situation in front of him. Along the way, he had arranged a good show for them. He didn't expect to encounter such a troublesome matter. Right Coiling Tiger had arranged for a heaven-rank initial stage expert from the hidden Right family to rob them on the road. Of course. His target wasn't the money, but the tablet in Han Jingjing's hands. After a few days of observation, Right Coiling Tiger discovered that Han Jingjing seemed to have scanned the alchemist's notes into the tablet. Moreover, in Han Jingjing's tablet, he found some information that he had never seen before. Although it was only a glimpse, he was sure that there was something good in Han Jingjing's tablet. Moreover, Han Jingjing's alchemy experience was also written in the tablet. As long as the tablet was brought over, Han Jingjing's true alchemy level could be seen. As for the matter of Lin Yi being able to fight a heaven-rank expert, Right Coiling Tiger was naturally very clear. But he wasn't afraid because in such a small space in the bus, Right Coiling Tiger didn't believe that Lin Yi would dare to make a move. At that time, as long as the heaven-rank expert released his aura of strength, Lin Yi would know his heaven-rank strength. Then Lin Yi wouldn't dare to act rashly. After all, the aura brought by fighting a heaven-rank expert would definitely hurt the innocent, especially with so many students in the bus. Moreover, the heaven-rank expert's goal was to rob, so Lin Yi might not chase after him. Even if Lin Yi didn't participate in the winter tour and chased after him, he might not be able to catch up to the heaven rank expert who was running away. Could be said that his plan was quite good. Taking advantage of the small space in the bus during the winter tour, making it hard to chase after the heaven rank expert, he would make Lin Yi and Han Jingjing suffer in silence. But he didn't expect that there would be a car accident in front of him. After the car accident was dealt with so many cars gathered together, the car wouldn't be able to run on the highway. The heaven rank expert wouldn't be able to set up a roadblock to stop them. Brother Yu, this isn't a good time. Is our plan going to fail? Xiaolong was a little unhappy. He didn't know that Right Coiling Tiger wanted to rob Han Jingjing's tablet. He didn't tell him about this. Right Coiling Tiger only told him that he had arranged for a robbery. When the time came, the robber would deliberately cause trouble for Xinyan after robbing Lin Yi and Han Jingjing. At this time, before Lin Yi could make a move, Xiaolong stepped forward and confronted the robber. The robber was enraged and stabbed Xiaolong. After seeing the blood, he quickly jumped out of the car and ran away. This was also a plan that Right Coiling Tiger had designed to make the robber leave quickly. Could be said that he used Xiaolong a little. As for the stab, it was definitely an unimportant spot. Xiaolong also had the special edition golden creation ointment that could quickly stop the bleeding and heal the wound. There was no need to worry about any problems. This way, Xiaolong's heroic image would be formed, and he could give Xinyan a good impression of a hero saving the damsel in distress. Although this was a very cliché, it was very effective. A hero saving a damsel in distress was usually a killer weapon when it came to picking up girls. If Lin Yi saw the problem and said that the robber was a heaven rank expert, Xiaolong would have a countermeasure. He would say that Lin Yi was lying because he didn't want to admit it. What kind of existence was a heaven rank expert? Why would he come to the car and rob them? Even if Xinyan didn't fully believe it, Xiaolong's explanation would be more convincing. Although Lin Yi was closer to Xinyan, Xinyan herself could tell that no heaven rank expert would be so bored as to rob a car. Who knows? Right Coiling Tiger was helpless as well. Who would have thought that something like this would happen? While Xiaolong and Right Coiling Tiger were grumbling, the car door opened on the other side. From the looks of the car accident, they wouldn't be able to leave anytime soon. Many students asked to get off the car to get some fresh air. Chapter 24-29. Just as the door opened and a few students were about to get off, a few masked men suddenly barged into the car and blocked the students who were about to get off. One of the leading masked men shouted, "Don't move. Go back and rob them." As he said, the masked man took out a black knife from his waist, raised it over his head, and aimed at the students who were about to get off. The students who were about to get off were immediately dumbfounded and stepped back in fear. Some of them directly sat on the ground and some even wet their pants. The students on the car were dumbfounded. They didn't expect to encounter a robbery on the highway, especially when there was a traffic jam. It was really rare. But at this moment, seeing the shiny black knife in the masked man's hand, they were a little scared and didn't dare to make any sound. As for the students who were screaming and about to get off the bus, they were scared to the point that their faces turned pale. This was because they realized that the men who got on the bus were either holding sticks or daggers. Each one was more ferocious than the other. "Listen to me, if you don't want to die, then take out all your valuables and cash for me. Otherwise, I don't mind sending you to the Western Paradise to obtain Buddhist scriptures." The leader of the group shouted. The students were all shocked by the fierce words of the masked man. "You want to rob us, right? I will ask the students to take out all the valuable things and cash. Don't hurt the people on the car." Boss Bai was very calm at this time. He glanced at the leading man and said to him, "You are quite smart." The leading man nodded with satisfaction, and then said to the three people behind him, "Lao Er, Lao San, Lao Si, you go and collect the things one by one. If you are not willing to take them out, kill one to warn the others." "Yes, brother." The three men behind the leading man immediately responded. They took out a woven bag out of nowhere and said to Boss Bai, "Let's start with you. Take out all the valuable things." Boss Bai nodded and took out his wallet without hesitation. He took out all the cash in it and threw it into the woven bag of the three men. Then he took out a mobile phone and asked, "Do you still want a mobile phone? It's a knockoff. Even if you sell it, it won't be worth much." "I don't want it anymore." One of the brawny men glanced at the duplex in Boss Bai's hands. He shook his head. A brand new phone would only cost 1 to 200 RMB. Even the second-hand flea market might not be able to buy it. When robbing phones, they would only choose smartphones that cost more than 1,000 RMB. This kind of counterfeit phone would not even take up space. Boss Bai nodded and put away his phone. He was doing this to lead the students. With his previous strength, he wouldn't have been afraid of anything. But now his meridians were all severed. In order to prevent the students from getting hurt, he had to compromise first. Of course, although Boss Bai knew that Lin Yi was good at fighting, he didn't want to cause more trouble. After all, the space in the car was too small. If Lin Yi shot one and the other shot randomly, the students in the car would be in danger. It was good enough that Lin Yi could take care of himself and Xin Yan's friends. The other students were just cannon fodder. Therefore, Boss Bai was hinting Lin Yi not to act rashly. He was a teacher. He didn't want his students to make any mistakes. Money was just a worldly possession. Boss Bai didn't lack money, and these students might not bring too much money with them when they went out. The robbers only wanted cash and valuables and ignored the bank cards. It also showed that these people only wanted money and wouldn't risk asking for bank cards and passwords. However, it also showed that these robbers were all professionals. As long as they didn't go against their will, they usually wouldn't hurt people. What Boss Bai was most afraid of were the new students. They would come up and kill them. In the end, they even asked the students for their bank cards' passwords. If they asked for passwords, many students might resist and then things would get out of hand. And these robbers knew that it was useless to ask for bank cards. When they withdrew money, it would be easy to be discovered. So, their modus operandi was very professional. Yours? The robber Lao San shouted at the two students sitting behind Boss Bai. Although the two students were scared, they still took out their wallets with trembling hands and gave the cash inside to the robber Lao San. Motherfucker, are you born poor? Why are you so poor? Only 100 yuan? The robber Lao San saw that one of the students only had 100 yuan in his wallet, and he was furious. Big brother, my phone broke a few days ago. I just bought an Apple phone. I'll give it to you? The student was shocked and quickly took out the latest Apple phone from his pocket with a sad face and handed it to the robber Lao San. Not bad. Very smart. The robber Lao San took the phone with satisfaction. He looked at it and threw it into the woven bag. He said to the other student, "Where's your phone? Hurry up." My phone is ordinary. It's a domestic Android phone. I paid the phone bill. The student next to him took out his phone. You guys don't want it, right? This is fine too. The robber Lao San glanced at the student's phone. Although it was a domestic Android phone, it was a new model. It could be sold for 300 or 400 yuan second-hand. Why not? You want this too? Then can I take out the memory card? The student begged. Motherfucker, why are you so troublesome? Are you giving it to me? When the robber Lao San heard the student's hesitation, he suddenly became angry. A memory card is only a few dozen yuan. Why are you so stingy? No, my card has a photo of me and my girlfriend, the student said weakly. This student's words were a bit funny. After the other students in the car heard it, they suddenly had an urge to laugh, but no one dared to laugh at this time. They might be the next one. Because of the reminder of this student, other students also took out their phones. Those who had a guilty conscience began to take out the memory card. Those who didn't have a memory card began to erase the phone data. Then why don't you hurry up and take it out? The robber Lao San frowned, but he agreed to the student's request. He wasn't being kind, but he was afraid that when he sold the phone, the merchants who bought the phone would find the problem. After all, they couldn't erase all the data when selling the phone. They didn't know how to use many phones. Okay. The student quickly took out the memory card of the phone and then threw the phone into the robber Lao San's woven bag. To be continued. Chapter 24:30. Lao Air and Lao Si were busy weaving bags to collect money and valuables. The cameras and laptops carried by some students were not spared. However, these kidnappers were very humane and allowed the students to take out the memory cards in the cameras and phones. Memory cards were not worth much. It was useless for the kidnappers to take them back. Moreover, it was not easy to dispose of the stolen goods in the cameras and phones. Yu Panhu, who was sitting not far away, frowned. He thought to himself, what kind of people did Grandpa send me? Robbing is robbing. Why do they have to pretend? Robbing money is enough. Why do they want things? It's a waste of time. Xiaolong saw the frown on Panhu Yu's face and could guess what he was thinking. He comforted him. Lil Bro Yu, Grandpa Yu is very considerate. These people came up and robbed us, not taking anything valuable. Are they really robbers? This bus of students, even if they only robbed money, how much money could they rob? Otherwise, with Lin Yi's shrewdness, he will definitely discover the problem. Wouldn't it be overkill to rob a heaven-class expert? Well, that's true. Yupan, who suddenly remembered that he wanted Han Jingjing's tablet. If he didn't rob other people's phones, cameras and laptops, how would he rob Han Jingjing's tablet? It seemed that he was a little too eager. Grandpa was still the schemer. If he only robbed Han Jingjing, then Lin Yi would definitely be suspicious. However, if everyone robbed, then Lin Yi would definitely not be suspicious. But what pissed Xiaolong off was the fact that Lao San was an idiot. He actually let the students keep the memory cards and delete the data in the phones. What if Han Jingjing deleted the data in the tablet? Wouldn't he be robbing a piece of trash for nothing? This operation seemed to be a show of goodwill to the Kong family from the Hidden Yu family, helping Kong Ming create a hero to save the beauty. However, the Hidden Yu family sent out an early-stage heaven-class expert. Although there were a few heaven-stage experts in the Hidden Yu family and Old Master Yu himself was also a heaven-stage expert, these heaven-stage experts were not the subordinates of the Hidden Yu family. They were in charge of the Hidden Yu family. It was just a relationship of interest. The Hidden Yu family provided them with some cultivation treasures or elixirs, and these people would lend a hand when the Yu family was in trouble. If it weren't for the fact that the cost of exchanging information with Lin Yi was too high, and that Lin Yi was insatiable, asking for all kinds of good stuff like a bottomless pit, Elder Yu wouldn't have thought of giving Xiaolong the chance to show goodwill and snatch Han Jingjing's tablet away. It could be said that old man Yu was not stupid. This was killing two birds with one stone. How could he let go of the opportunity to express his goodwill to the Kong family and secretly reap benefits for himself? If it was purely to express goodwill to the Kong family and send out a heaven stage expert, then old man Yu would definitely not do it. That would really be too free. Of course, Coiling Tiger couldn't tell Xiaolong about this, so Xiaolong was very grateful to Coiling Tiger for this. The two students behind us, what are they mumbling about? The second kidnapper glared at Xiaolong and Tiger Right. He scolded, "Shut up and obediently take out the good stuff." Tiger Right nodded and thought in his heart. His acting was quite good. In this way, no one would suspect that these robbers were related to him. Han Jingjing looked at the situation in front of her and took out the tablet helplessly, preparing to erase all the data in the tablet. After all, there were a lot of alchemy notes inside and she didn't want them to be leaked. Tiger Right saw Han Jingjing take out the tablet from the corner of his eye, and he immediately panicked. He almost went up to stop it, but reason told him that he must not do so. If he did so, then Han Jingjing and Lin Yi would definitely be suspicious, but if he didn't stop it, then the information would be gone. This wasn't what Right Coiling Tiger wanted. Just when Tiger Right was in a dilemma, Lin Yi spoke, "There's no need to delete it, those kidnappers won't understand these things." Han Jingjing hesitated, but she still listened to Lin Yi. She closed the tablet and put it aside. Tiger Right suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. He really wanted to go up and kiss Lin Yi. "I'm really grateful. Thank you." However, just as Tiger Right was excited, something happened over there. Lao Si, the robber, shouted at a boy wearing glasses, "Why do you have so few things on you? Did you steal something?" "I didn't. The male student with glasses stammered. "You didn't?" Robber Lao Si glared and said angrily, "Why are you nervous if you didn't?" As he said this, Robber Lao Si began to search the boy with glasses. He didn't find anything, so he began to search his backpack. Sure enough, he found the latest full-frame SLR digital camera, an ultra-thin Apple laptop, and the latest handheld game console in the boy's backpack. It had to be said that this boy was very rich. He had high-end digital products on him. These things were already worth tens of thousands of yuan. Little B** starred, "You actually dare to lie to me?" Robber Lao Si raised his fist and punched the bespectacled boy in the face, sending his gold-rimmed glasses flying. Half of the bespectacled boy's teeth were also loosened, and blood bubbles appeared in his mouth. Looking at the scene in front of him, Boss Bai felt a little helpless. He knew the family background of this bespectacled boy. His family owned a pharmaceutical factory and was very rich. How stingy. It was not worth it to be beaten up for a few tens of thousands of yuan. Tiger Right, on the other hand, frowned. This robber Lao Si was too much of a busybody. If he didn't want to give, then so be it. Why did he have to hit him? If this attracted Lin Yi's help and the other students' retaliation, things would get out of hand. "Lil bro you, these people are just putting on an act," Xiaolong whispered. "Think about it, he's definitely preparing to cause trouble for Xinyan later. He's just using the glasses guy as practice. If he were to suddenly cause trouble for Xinyan, people would think it was weird. With the glasses guy as an example, it'll be easy for him to do what he does next. Xiaolong whispered. You're right. Tiger Right nodded, thinking that he was being too impulsive. These people really did have a plan in mind. They weren't just doing things randomly. This time, with the example of the bespectacled guy hiding something and not handing it over, the rest of the students didn't dare to hide anything anymore. To be continued. Chapter 24:31. A beautiful opportunity comes when the robbers' second, third, and fourth came over. The students all obediently took out their money, phones, and other digital products from their pockets and handed them over. When it was Tiger Yu and Xiaolong's turn, the two obediently handed over their phones, wallets, and digital cameras. As far as Tiger Yu was concerned, these things would eventually come back to him. He didn't even delete the photos in his phone. The photos in his phone were selfies taken when he went out to look for a prostitute. He didn't care at all. He didn't believe that these people would dare touch his things. Finally, the robbers came to the last row of the cars in front of Lin Yi and the others. It's your turn, hurry up and take out your money and valuables. The robbers were getting impatient at the end of the robbery. They wanted to end it as soon as possible. They still had to rob the passengers in the other cars. Taking advantage of the traffic jam, they could rob as much as they wanted. The police cars wouldn't be able to get here, and there wouldn't be another opportunity like this once they passed this village. Oh, okay. Lin Yi obediently took out his phone and wallet, and Han Jingjing took out a stack of cash and a tablet from her backpack. She didn't have a wallet. Han Jingjing glanced at Lin Yi, and seeing that Lin Yi didn't say anything, she threw the tablet, phone, and the stack of cash into the robber's woven bag. Just as Lin Yi was about to put his phone and wallet into the bag, the robber stopped him. You don't need your phone. The robber looked at the phone in Lin Yi's hand. Lin Yi's phone was an old model, and it had been out for a while, so it wasn't worth much. Oh, okay. Lin Yi nodded as he tossed the wallet into the bag. The robber didn't know what to do with it. Lin Yi didn't even want the wallet anymore. He just threw it into the bag? After Lin Yi threw it away, he slowly took his hand out of the woven bag and put the phone away. Yours. The second robber turned around to look at Xinyan's group. All right. Xinyan, Bai Weitua, and He Meiwen nodded. They all obeyed and put their phones and cash into the robber's woven bag. However, their SIM cards and memory cards had already been taken out, so they didn't feel bad about losing their phones. After the kidnapper finished robbing the last few people, he felt that it was a little less. He didn't think that this bus was full of students. They thought it was a tour bus for a tourist group. If it was a tourist group, then these tourists were quite rich. It was possible to rob hundreds of thousands of yuan, but now it was only tens of thousands of yuan, which made him a little unwilling. His eyes scanned Lin Yi and Xinyan before landing on a red string on Xinyan's neck. He frowned. What necklace do you have on your neck? Give it to me. Xinyan was startled. She didn't think that the second robber wouldn't let her go after the robbery, but the necklace on her body. But this necklace couldn't be taken off and given to just anyone. Xinyan's face was pale and nervous as she shook her head. She said carefully, This? It's just a normal jade pendant. It's not worth anything, it's not worth anything. Give it to me. Didn't you hear me? The second robber didn't think that Xinyan would dare to disobey him, but the more she did, the more he felt that the jade on Xinyan was worth something. If it wasn't worth anything, why would she be so careful? It's really not worth anything, it's just a memento? Xinyan hesitated and explained. Didn't you hear what I said? Girl, do you want to die? The second robber didn't have the mood to be gentle at this time. He waved the dagger in his hand. The cold light flashed and the sunlight reflected on Xinyan's face, startling her. Lin Yi frowned slightly. He knew that Xinyan had a jade necklace, but he didn't think much of it before. After all, a lot of people had jade pendants on them, including Lin Yi himself. It wasn't a big deal. It was just that Lin Yi's jade was well hidden, and the second robber saw the red line on Xinyan's jade. Before, Lin Yi didn't think much of it. But now that he heard Xinyan's words, he believed her. For example, the jade on Sun Jingyi's body was a memento. It was something her parents left for her, and Xinyan's was most likely the same. Should he do it or not? Lin Yi hesitated. To be honest, if it was the old Lin Yi, he would have already killed the second robber in front of him, and the boss, third and fourth robber would all die today. But Lin Yi couldn't kill all four robbers at once in this narrow car. When Lin Yi killed one of them, the others might attack the other students or boss Bai. Of course, it was possible for Lin Yi to kill all four of them with his ultimate move, Fire 8 trigram palms, but the other students around them would suffer as well. Now, Lin Yi started to think more about the people around him. Even if he didn't have a good relationship with them, Lin Yi didn't want to hurt the innocent. As Lin Yi hesitated, Xinyan took out the jade from her chest and Lin Yi glanced at it. The material of the jade was very ordinary, and because Lin Yi wanted to condense a jade, he had crammed a lot of knowledge about jade. Now that he saw Xinyan's jade, he knew that it wasn't worth much. But this jade gave Lin Yi a strange feeling and his heart skipped a beat. Was it because this jade had been on Xinyan's chest all this time? Lin Yi shook his head. How could he still think about this at a time like this? The robber was obviously not someone who knew what was good. He wanted to take the jade away from Xinyan. As far as he was concerned, the jade had to be something good since Xinyan was so hesitant. Give it to me. The second robber shouted at Xinyan. At this tense moment, Kong Xiaolong, Hero Kong, made a shining appearance. Although he didn't know in advance how the youths were going to cause trouble for Xinyan, after all, this trouble was also random, and it wasn't something that could be found easily. But now that the second robber was trying to take Xinyan's jade, it must be a good opportunity for him to be a hero and save the beauty. Chapter 2437_School Bells Bodyguard Free Reading Chapter 2437 Opportunity to be a hero and save a beauty has been updated. Chapter 2432. Something's not right? From Anso, following Tiger Right's signal, Xiaolong stood up and strode towards the kidnapper's second brother, yelling as he walked, "Stop it right now. What's the point of bullying a girl?" What? The second kidnapper froze. He didn't think that someone would stand up for him in this situation. Was he tired of living? The second kidnapper turned around coldly and looked at Xiaolong, who was striding towards him. "Kid, do you want to die?" Her classmate said that this jade pendant is a memento. Maybe it's something left behind by her parents? Ah no, something left behind by her grandpa? Xiaolong blurted out subconsciously. Seeing Xinyan's expression change, he remembered that Xinyan's parents were still alive. Only her grandpa had passed away, so he quickly changed his words. He was saving the damsel in distress so that Xinyan would dig out her eyes and leave a good impression. If he cursed her parents to death, how would he leave a good impression on her? "Memento my ass, if you keep calling me that, I'll turn this into your memento." The second kidnapper raged. Xiaolong dared to challenge his authority, so naturally he was pissed, especially when someone stood up for him just as the robbery was about to end. Xiaolong thought that although the second kidnapper's words weren't pleasant to the ears, his acting was quite good. If he wasn't so vulgar, he wouldn't be a kidnapper. "Hey, this girl is my fiancée. If you want to bully her, you'll have to go through me first," Xiaolong said righteously. Lin Yi, who was about to make a move, looked at Xiaolong with interest. What was this kid trying to do by jumping out at this time? As far as Lin Yi was concerned, Xiaolong wasn't a brainless person who would jump out at the sight of his girl being bullied. If he was angry for his girl, he would have fought Lin Yi a long time ago. Why would he wait until now? Therefore Lin Yi felt that this matter was a little strange. But no matter what, Wang Xinyan wasn't in danger now that Xiaolong was here. Lin Yi wouldn't do anything else right now. Xiaolong saw that Lin Yi didn't move. He was overjoyed. This kidnapper must be the heaven stage expert. When it came to Lin Yi, once he released his heaven stage pressure, Lin Yi didn't even dare to let out a fart. Xiaolong felt that Lin Yi would have made his move a long time ago if it were any other day. There had to be a reason why he didn't. Thinking of this, he felt more confident. He pointed at the kidnapper and snorted, "You want me to become a relic? Then let's give it a try. Even if I die today, I won't let you have your way. Then you fucking go to hell." The second kidnapper was so angry that he thought to himself, how could this person be retarded? Can't he see that we have all kinds of weapons? This kid dares to fight us with his bare hands? Even if I die, I won't let you bully my fiancée. Xiaolong walked over and hugged the kidnapper, shouting loudly, "Oh my fucking god. You little bastard, do you want to die?" The second kidnapper's mouth was full of slang. Just when Xiaolong was thinking that this kidnapper was really good at acting, he felt a sudden thud on his head. Xiaolong felt dizzy and disoriented. A big bump appeared on the back of his head, and his nose started bleeding. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Was scary. Xiaolong screamed and turned around, dizzy and disoriented. He saw the kidnapper holding a bloody wooden stick, glaring at him fiercely. "Yo, what are you doing? Why are you hitting me with a stick?" Xiaolong was dumbfounded and didn't know what to do. According to what he discussed with Tiger Right, it was just to have one of them stab him in the arm and let him bleed. The kidnappers would see that things weren't going well, and they'd just say that it was urgent and run away. But the situation was very different from what Xiaolong had planned. Why did someone hit him in the back with a stick? Are you stupid, kid? Who else would I hit if not you? The second kidnapper was speechless at Xiaolong's retarded question. Was there something wrong with this kid? He didn't even know why he was getting hit? Xiaolong was dumbfounded. He looked at Tiger Right anxiously, hoping that he could take care of this. Right coiling Tiger had no way of standing out and scolding these people in front of him right now. If he opened his mouth, wouldn't he be exposed? Tiger Right could only try his best to signal the kidnappers with his eyes, but they didn't even look in his direction. Xiaolong turned around and kept signaling to the second kidnapper with his eyes, hinting to him that the fourth kidnapper could just stab him. He didn't have to resort to so many tricks anymore. It was too painful for him. What's wrong with your eyes? Why are you blinking at me? You're asking for a beating, aren't you? The second kidnapper thought that Xiaolong wouldn't be able to beat him, so he used his eyes to look down on him. He threw a punch at Xiaolong's face, causing his face to split open and his nose to bleed. Xiaolong let go of the fourth kidnapper and held his nose and face, crying out in pain, "Little bastard, aren't you a hero saving the damsel in distress? Aren't you trying to act cool in front of me?" The fourth kidnapper was furious that Xiaolong had let go of him. He didn't even care about Xinyan's jade pendant anymore. He kicked Xiaolong's crotch, cursing. "Motherfucker, I'll cripple you and make you impotent. Saving the damsel in distress is a waste of your bullshit." Watch. Xiaolong's crotch was in excruciating pain, and he was panting heavily with a crying face. He was going crazy on the inside. What were these people trying to do? Didn't they say that he could just stab himself? Did they have to be so realistic? He might have used this trick, but wasn't it too painful? Pan Huyu frowned. He felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't figure out why this was happening. However, he couldn't say anything to the fourth kidnapper. He could only choose the second kidnapper who was closest to him. He lowered his voice and said, "What's wrong with you guys? Just stab me once, why did you have to hit me so hard? Don't you want to live anymore? Or do you think that the name of the hidden house you is for nothing?" He couldn't blame Pan Huyu for being angry. Although these people were the customers of the hidden house you and not their underlings, they usually ate and drank from them, and even took the hidden house you's pills and treasures. Why didn't they listen to him at the critical moment? The second kidnapper was originally unhappy that Pan Huyu dragged him here to teach him a lesson, but when he heard the name of the hidden house you, his expression froze. Although he made a living as a robber, he was also the most well-informed. He knew about some people in noble houses that he couldn't afford to offend. Chapter 2438 _School Bells Bodyguard Free Reading Chapter 2438. Something's wrong? Update complete. Chapter 2433. Strength comes from. So when Pan Huyu mentioned the hidden house you, the second robber knew that this person wasn't someone to mess with. He frowned and said to the fourth robber, "Give him a stab, let's go." The fourth robber paused, realizing that he'd gone too far. Xiaolong was on the ground and his face was covered in blood. This didn't fit their plan. After hearing the second robber's words, the fourth robber took out a dagger and stabbed Xiaolong's butt. He said coldly, "Little bastard, don't try to be a hero if you don't have a few tricks up your sleeve. You're nothing but dog shit." Xiaolong's butt hurt and he screamed again. His eyes rolled back in his head and he almost fainted from anger. What kind of fucking people did they find? They said that they'd let him get stabbed in the arm to protect Xinyan, and then they'd run away, but now? Not only did they almost break his balls, but they'd also beaten him black and blue and even stabbed his butt. Of course that was fine, but what the fourth robber said at the end was a little fucked up. It made Xiaolong's heroic actions go up in smoke. He'd gotten hurt for nothing, and in the end, he'd had to stand up for himself after failing to show off. Lao Si was having so much fun beating up Xiaolong that he'd forgotten about Xinyan's jade pendant. Seeing how badly he'd beaten up Xiaolong, he quickly got out of the car with the other three to look for their next target, afraid that Xiaolong might die. The white boss sighed in relief when he saw the robbers leave. He couldn't do anything when Xiaolong was getting beaten up, and if he tried to stop them now, they'd probably beat him up even more. But the white boss was curious. Why did Xiaolong have to stand up for himself? Since when did Xinyan become his fiancée? There seemed to be some sort of secret here? "Xiaolong, I didn't expect this. TSK, you're really good at acting cool. This is truly unprecedented, and no one will be able to surpass it in the future. Lin Yi looked at Xiaolong and said faintly, there's a saying that goes like this. If you're strong enough, you're showing off. If you're weak, you're just an idiot. Lin Yi, don't talk so much. Bro Kong stood up because he didn't want his classmate to be bullied. Pan Hu Right walked over and helped Xiaolong up nervously. After all, he was the one who hired these robbers. Now that there was a problem, Xiaolong couldn't take it out on his family. It was supposed to be a friendly gesture with House Kong, but in the blink of an eye, Xiaolong had been turned into a bloody gourd by his own people, and his butt was bleeding profusely. What the hell was going on? Right Coiling Tiger was speechless. Xiaolong's last slash seemed to have been a hint from him to the robbers. Why was it so weird? Xiaolong stood up. His legs were trembling. Lin Yi, are you still a man? When the robbers came, you didn't dare to stand up. Bro Kong stood up and you're still mocking him. What kind of mentality is that? Pan Hu Right knew that in Boss Bai's class, and with Boss Bai present, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Naturally, he dared to mock Lin Yi. Oh, it's his fault for being a busybody. If Xinyan hadn't given the jade to the robbers, everything would have been fine, right? Lin Yi said faintly. Didn't you hear Xinyan say that the jade is very important to her? Right Coiling Tiger said angrily. What are you saying? Oh, if it's important, then I'll get it back? Lin Yi curled his lips indifferently. He pulled out a tablet from his pocket like magic and passed it to Han Jingjing. This tablet is very important to Han Jingjing too. So I got it back for her. Thank you, Lin Yi bro. Han Jingjing was overjoyed. She didn't expect to get her tablet back. As for her iPhone, it didn't matter. There was no important information in it and she didn't care about how much it cost. What she cared about the most was this tablet. It's nothing. Lin Yi took out another wallet. This was Lin Yi's wallet. He weighed it in his hand and put it back into his pocket. He looked at Xiaolong. Say, are you looking for a beating? At first, the other students thought that Lin Yi's mocking of Xiaolong was inappropriate, but now that they saw Lin Yi take back Han Jingjing's tablet and his wallet, they were all impressed. So Lin Yi was confident that he could get them back. Xiaolong really was a troublemaker. If he didn't show up, Lin Yi could easily take care of it. He almost made things more complicated. Xinyan, on the other hand, was a little disappointed that Lin Yi didn't do anything. After all, the one she liked was Lin Yi. Even if she had to save the damsel in distress, she wanted it to be Lin Yi and not Xiaolong. Xinyan didn't like Xiaolong, but she didn't want him to be beaten up like this because of her. She felt guilty and blamed Lin Yi for arguing with Xiaolong at a time like this. But after seeing Lin Yi's actions and hearing Lin Yi's words, Xinyan immediately understood that she misunderstood. It wasn't that Lin Yi didn't want to help, but Xiaolong's appearance ruined Lin Yi's plan. Lin Yi could solve the problem quietly, but Xiaolong just had to complicate things. Lin Yi couldn't tell Xiaolong his plan in front of the robbers, otherwise Han Jingjing's tablet would be taken back again. Xinyan smiled bitterly as she shook her head. She remembered the first time she met Lin Yi on the train. Wasn't he the one who'd taken the money from the scammers back into his pocket without a word? He even took the scammers' money. Xinyan didn't even see how Lin Yi did it. It was unbelievable. Lin Yi was probably going to use the same move today, wasn't he? Thinking about Lin Yi's ability and comparing it to Xiaolong's recklessness, Xinyan felt that Xiaolong wasn't good enough. Compared to Lin Yi, Xiaolong was too weak. Tiger Right didn't expect Lin Yi to do something like this. He froze as if he was struck by lightning. He stared at the tablet in Han Jingjing's hands, speechless. It took him a while to come back to his senses. He almost cursed out loud. Not only did he fail to please House Kong and Xiaolong, he didn't even get Han Jingjing's tablet. What was going on? Did he come all this way for nothing? Did he send out his Sky Class Master for nothing? Chapter 2439 _ School Bells Bodyguard Free Reading _ Chapter 2439. Do you have the ability or not? Updated. Chapter 2434. From Not Enough IQ. Lin Yi, if you're so good, why didn't you take back the stuff from the other students? Just take it back for you and Han Jingjing. How can you be so selfish? Isn't the loss of other students a loss? Pan Hu Right was pissed off and finally found a good reason to attack Lin Yi. The students who didn't know the truth felt that it made sense after hearing Pan Hu Right's words. Indeed, if Lin Yi was so good, why didn't he help them get back what they lost? And so, the students who had their stuff stolen looked at Lin Yi with disdain, How much stuff do you think I can stuff in my clothes? I didn't even take back Jing Jing's phone, or Bai Weitua's wallet and phone. How could I help others? Lin Yi said faintly. Lin Yi's words made the other students who looked down on Lin Yi understand. Yes, Lin Yi didn't even take care of Han Jingjing's phone, or his roommate Bai Weitua. How could anyone else? And Lin Yi was right. How much stuff could he stuff in his clothes? If he took too much, wouldn't he be discovered by the robbers? Panhu Wright saw the understanding expressions on the students' faces and knew that his attack on Lin Yi had failed. He felt embarrassed. Alright, hurry and help Xiaolong back. Your IQ isn't enough, I don't blame you. Lin Yi said. Birds of a feather flock together. You and Xiaolong are both stupid, otherwise you wouldn't have asked such a stupid question, and he wouldn't have done such a stupid thing. Panhu Wright cursed in his heart as he helped Xiaolong back to his seat. He was fuming, but he didn't dare do anything to Lin Yi. Xiaolong sucked in a breath of cold air the moment he sat down. The knife in his but didn't hurt his muscles or bones, but the pain was excruciating. He stood up the moment he sat down. You brother you. Help me apply the medicine. Quick. Alright. Panhu quickly took out a bottle of Dr. Kang's golden creation and sprinkled it all over Xiaolong's butt. Although the Kang family's pharmaceutical company had closed down, the Kang family still had a lot of stocks. One had to admit that the special edition golden creation was very useful. Xiaolong's butt stopped bleeding very quickly, and only then did Xiaolong sit back down with a slightly better expression. He started applying the special edition golden creation on his face. As for his balls that were about to explode from the kick, Xiaolong didn't mind it at all. He could only take some medicine to reduce the swelling, but the Kang family did not have such a special medicine. He only brought some common medicine for survival in the wild, and it took a lot longer to reduce the swelling. Phew. Xiaolong let out a breath of relief and said unhappily, I say brother you, what's going on? Why are these people fighting for real? Why are they beating me so hard? Of course, Xiaolong didn't dare to have a falling out with Panhu right now. After all, Kang Ming Ming wasn't an elder of the Sky Elixir sect yet. Xiaolong still had many things to trouble Panhu for in the future, so he just wanted to vent his anger. However, he also believed that this wasn't Panhu's intention. Panhu wasn't an idiot. He tried so hard to come up with a great idea of saving the damsel in distress, and then messed it up. Wasn't there something wrong with him? I don't know either. Panhu said with a bitter face, I told my grandpa what I wanted, and he said that he would send a sky class to help. Who knew that things would turn out like this? I'm sorry brother Kong, this is what happened. I'll definitely give you an explanation. Forget it, don't make it hard for your grandpa. These sky class masters all have their own pride. Xiaolong waved his hand. He didn't want to fall out with House Yu because of this, but it wasn't a problem to vent his anger on Panhu. However, he didn't dare to question old Master Yu. I'll ask Grandpa what happened first. Panhu nodded and reached for his phone. He didn't find it, only then did he realize that he had given his phone to the robbers. He smiled bitterly, I don't have my phone anymore. I'll find a public phone when we get to the ski resort. It's fine, there's no rush, Xiaolong said, gritting his teeth. Before, Lin Yi didn't pay attention to Panhu and Xiaolong. Although he was an earth class and had sharp eyes and ears, he still needed to use his senses to sense his surroundings. When he had nothing to do, he couldn't use his pure chi or enter the jade space to sense what people were doing and saying. Even a sky class master couldn't pay attention to these things all the time. What other things could he do? However, Lin Yi was wondering why Xiaolong would suddenly jump out. Just now, Panhu and Xiaolong both suffered a loss, and Lin Yi was afraid that they would play some tricks to take revenge on him, so he paid attention to them. He didn't expect to hear their conversation. It sounded like the robbers from before were hired by Right Coiling Tiger? Or some sky class master. But why didn't Lin Yi feel like a sky class master at all? When these robbers came, Lin Yi used his golden finger to sense them. These 4 robbers were all normal people, and the boss was only slightly stronger than normal people, but he hadn't stepped into golden class yet. He was only half a step into golden class. How could he be a sky class master? Could it be that there was a physical sky class master among them? Lin Yi shook his head. It didn't seem possible, right? As for Xiaolong's plan of saving the damsel in distress, it was even weirder. No wonder this kid jumped out all of a sudden. He wanted to put on an act, but things changed and he screwed it up. But Lin Yi was a little puzzled. These people were hired by Panhu. Were they here to help Xiaolong or to ruin his show? Why did it look like they were here to ruin his show? Shaking his head, Lin Yi shifted his attention away from them. Xiaolong was gritting his teeth in pain, but he didn't say anything and just closed his eyes to rest. Xinyan looked at Xiaolong with pity in her eyes. She didn't like Xiaolong, but he'd gotten hurt because of her. It was kind of like, I didn't kill him but he died because of me. It gave her a headache. How was she supposed to return the favor? Xiaolong's face was full of regret. Xiaolong, are you alright? Do you need us to send you to the hospital first? White Boss asked worriedly after seeing Xiaolong's condition. White Boss knew that Xiaolong had applied medicine, but he still asked with concern. Master Bai, I'm fine. I'll be fine in a bit. Xiaolong quickly shook his head. Chapter 2440_Schoolbells Bodyguard Free Reading Chapter 2440 I am not smart enough. Update complete. Chapter 2435. Another robbery from Xiaolong of course wouldn't go to the hospital. He didn't manage to save the damsel in distress this time, and he had other plans to carry out when he went to the ski resort. That's good, let me know if you have any problems. Boss Bai nodded in relief. Xiaolong came from a medical family, and his medical knowledge was solid as well. If he felt that there was no problem, then there was no problem. He turned to the other students. Students, no one wants to see a robbery, but since it's already happened, there's no need to worry too much about it. I'll pay for everyone's expenses for this trip. Everyone enjoy yourselves, don't feel burdened, and leave all the unhappiness behind. Okay. Thank you, Master Bai. Don't worry, we're not that weak. The students on the bus all voiced out their support after hearing Boss Bai's words. The robbery didn't really scare them that much, and other than that unlucky guy with glasses, the others only lost money. But Xiaolong getting beaten up after that was a bit too much for everyone to handle. But now that they knew that Xiaolong was fine, they let out a sigh of relief. That's good. Boss Bai nodded. I see that the cars in front are starting to move, and the road is almost cleared. That's great. The students cheered again. Lin Yi frowned as he watched the four robbers leave, but he didn't do anything else. In actuality, he had a backup plan. If Xinyan's jade was taken by the robbers and Lin Yi didn't have the chance to take it back, he'd follow them out of the car, find a secluded place and kill the four robbers to get the jade back. As for the other things taken by the robbers, Lin Yi didn't think about getting them back for the other students. What would he say after getting them back? Would he say that he killed the robbers? Then he probably wouldn't be able to go to this winter outing. Sure enough, after a short while, the highway was open to traffic, and the buses that the students were on also slowly started moving forward, but the speed wasn't fast. Because there were cars in front of them, they couldn't run for a while. If they really wanted to run, they would have to wait for a while. When the small cars in front started running, the bus would start running too. In any case, it was a great thing to have the train open. The students were very excited and gratified, and soon forgot the previous unhappiness. Another half an hour or so passed. The bus finally started moving on the highway. However, before everyone could rejoice for long, the bus suddenly slammed on the brakes. That was because a heavy truck had suddenly appeared in front of them. Actually, rather than saying that they were merging, it would be more accurate to say that the heavy truck was trying to force the bus to stop. This kind of dangerous action made even the tour bus driver who drove the tour bus all day break out in a cold sweat. He wasn't afraid of the robbery before. After all, he was the driver of the tour bus. Although this kind of thing was not common, it was still something that he had encountered before. However, the robbers generally wouldn't rob the drivers because the drivers who drove the big bar belonged to the travel company. They didn't have much money in their pockets. Other than a pack of cigarettes, they only had a few hundred yuan to pay for the highway toll. Hence, the robbers' targets were usually the passengers. But now the situation was different. The heavy truck kept merging, and braking. Its intention was obvious, which was to force the bus to stop. It was a thrilling scene. After the students on the bus saw this, they were a little dumbfounded. They didn't understand why this trip was so difficult. They had just encountered a robbery, and now there was a heavy truck that didn't care about their lives. They didn't know what the heavy truck was trying to do. What good would it do to force the bus to stop? Creak, creak, the sound of the bus's brakes came one after another. Very soon, the bus's speed dropped from 100 miles per hour to 20 miles per hour. Then the heavy truck finally stopped, and the driver had no choice but to brake. There had to be something fishy going on. This was the first time the tour bus driver had encountered such a situation. Playing this kind of trick on the highway was simply murderous. However, the heavy truck didn't seem to want to kill people, because it gave the bus driver enough time to react and brake. Although the heavy truck had been trying to force the bus to stop, it wasn't in a hurry. Instead, it did it step by step, letting the bus slow down slowly. Finally, it stopped the bus, reducing the danger to the minimum. "We may have encountered another robbery," the driver said with a pale face. He finally thought of the most impossible situation, but in fact, this was the most likely situation. "What?" Boss Bai was stunned after listening to the driver's words. "How can we be so unlucky? We just encountered a robbery and now there's another group of robbers? Can there be such a coincidence?" After the other students on the bus heard the driver's words, their faces changed. They had just been robbed and now there's another robbery. Why are we so unlucky to encounter such a thing? There were so many cars on the highway and yet their bus had problems? As the people on the bus spoke, the driver's compartment of the heavy truck was opened. Two people came out, one tall and one short. After getting off, they walked towards the bus. Seeing these two, Lin Yi's eyelids twitched as he thought of something. He looked at the bloody Xiaolong and almost laughed out loud. This was too much of a coincidence. The two people who walked out of the truck looked very normal, but Lin Yi could tell their strength with one look with his golden finger. The tall one was an Earth-class late phase peak, and the short one was a Sky-class early phase. Lin Yi wasn't afraid of the tall one. He was about the same level as Elder Bai, and in Lin Yi's hands, it was just one move. Lin Yi was an Earth-class mid-phase, and he wasn't afraid when he used the fifth form of Fire Bagua Palm. Now that he was an Earth-class mid-phase peak and he could use the sixth form? What worried Lin Yi was the short Sky-class early phase. Lin Yi didn't have much confidence in killing this person. After all, he was a Sky-class and Lin Yi was still an Earth-class, not even at Earth-class late phase peak. But at least this Sky-class early phase didn't look too strong, and was only a normal Sky-class. He shouldn't be someone from the ancient world. Of course, this person was most likely a heaven stage expert sent by Right Coiling Tiger Rights U family. He should be the kind of person who was a hanger-on. He couldn't be too strong. Otherwise, if he was too powerful, he wouldn't be a member of the Hidden Right family. He would have long gone to an ancient sect or ancient family. Chapter 2441 The Campus Belle's Bodyguard is free to read. Another robbery completed. Chapter 2436. His face was ugly. If he succeeded, it would save him a lot of trouble. Of course, if he didn't succeed, Lin Yi had no other choice. He could only brace himself and fight. Since these two people were found by Right Coiling Tiger, Lin Yi didn't believe that they would dare to fight here. Moreover, such an obvious blockade on the highway would quickly attract the attention of people with ulterior motives. Fortunately, Lin Yi made the right bet and succeeded. The sixth form, Frenzy Fire 8 trigrams palm, was Lin Yi's first time facing an enemy. In the past, he only practiced it at home. The physical strength and true chi required was incomparable to that of an actual enemy. Only when Lin Yi truly used this form on the enemy's body did Lin Yi realize how much physical strength this form consumed. With Lin Yi's current strength, with his physical strength and true chi, he estimated that he could only use 3 palms. For Lin Yi, whose true strength was only in the earth tier, a heaven tier martial skill was still a little too strenuous. Although the fifth form, Frenzy Fire 8 trigrams palm, was equivalent to the 11th form of an ordinary martial skill. In theory, this was also a heaven tier martial skill. However, this was completely because of the Frenzy Fire Fist. In reality, the fifth form of the Frenzy Fire Fist plus the 5 forms of the 5 elements 8 trigrams palm still belonged to the category of an earth tier martial skill. It was just that Lin Yi was equivalent to the 11th form, not the 11th form. From the sixth form, Frenzy Fire 8 trigrams palm, it truly belonged to the category of a heaven tier martial skill. After Lin Yi used the sixth form and then the 7th form, he felt like his entire body was about to collapse. It really consumed too much physical strength. Especially the 7th form, after it was successfully used, it seemed to have drained all the true chi in Lin Yi's body, causing Lin Yi to barely stand at the car door. He even had to use his hands to support the car door. It's all for nothing, two robber brothers? Lin Yi pretended as if nothing had happened and said, "Brother driver, I beat them away. Hurry up and drive. Don't worry about these two people. They won't die anyway." It was unknown whether the tall robber was dead or alive, but Lin Yi guessed that he was most likely dead. However, because the people in the car were all his classmates, Lin Yi couldn't say that he killed a robber in front of them. That would be too scary. This was also the reason why Lin Yi didn't get out of the car to chase after the 4 robbers. "Oh, okay. When the driver saw Lin Yi deal with the two robbers by himself, he was relieved. He quickly reversed the car, turned the car around, and drove away from the heavy truck in front. Lin Yi said so. The students on the bus didn't think too much about it. They just felt that Lin Yi was powerful, but they didn't think that someone would die. Of course, except for boss by Han Jingjing, right coiling tiger, and his two subordinates, no one knew how dangerous and terrifying the two robbers that Lin Yi was facing were. In the eyes of the driver and other students, the two robbers that Lin Yi dealt with were far worse than the four robbers from before. These two people were barehanded. They didn't have pistols, daggers, or even sticks, and they still wanted to rob? It was normal for Lin Yi to beat them off the car door. There was nothing strange about it. It was just that Lin Yi's skills were better. However, although Boss Bai wasn't a cultivator at the moment, when Lin Yi shouted the name of the move and the words of the short robber, Boss Bai understood how powerful this guy was. The 13th style of the Heaven Tier martial technique couldn't even kill the short robber. What level of cultivator was he? He was at least a Heaven Tier cultivator. This situation shocked Boss Bai, and he secretly thought that he was lucky. Fortunately, Lin Yi made a move. Otherwise, the students on the bus would be in danger. Of course, Boss Bai naturally couldn't guess that these two people were from the Hidden Right family. However, if Lin Yi could injure a Heaven Tier expert, then what level of strength did Lin Yi have? Although Han Jingjing was only an alchemist, she could feel the true chi fluctuations on Lin Yi and the robber's cultivator. From this, she could also see the strength of the two cultivators. Although the tall cultivator's strength was fleeting, she could still feel it. As for the short cultivator, she could not help but feel it. After vomiting blood, he had been using true chi to heal himself, so she naturally knew. However, even if one of them was a peak late Earth Tier expert, and the other was an early Heaven Tier expert, Han Jingjing was not afraid at all. She believed that Lin Yi was stronger than them. The people with the ugliest expressions were Right Coiling Tiger and his two subordinates. They were all cultivators, and what Han Jingjing could feel, they could naturally feel as well. The moment the tall robber was hit by Lin Yi, he subconsciously wanted to use true chi to protect his body, but it was too late. Then there was no sign of life and he probably couldn't survive. And the short robber of the early Heaven Tier couldn't even withstand one move from Lin Yi? What was going on? Of course, this wasn't the root cause of their ugly expressions. The root cause of Right Coiling Tiger's ugly expression was that he suddenly realized that he was wrong, and that he had made a huge mistake. These two people, from the looks of it, were the masters sent by the Hidden Right family, and the robbers from before were the real robbers. This could also explain why the robbers' actions were different from what Right Coiling Tiger had expected, and why they didn't cooperate with Xiaolong, and instead made a fool of him. Thinking of this, Right Coiling Tiger had the urge to cry. How could this be so coincidental? He arranged for the robbers and he still met the real robbers on the way. This luck was enough to buy a lottery ticket. Brother, you, what's wrong? Why do you look so pale? Xiaolong suddenly realized that Right Coiling Tiger's face was very pale, and his body couldn't stop shaking. Right Coiling Tiger was about to say something when he saw Lin Yi walking over. His heart jumped and his eyes darted around. Did Lin Yi see something? That shouldn't be the case. Although he was the one who found them, he hadn't seen these two people before, so how did Lin Yi know? Therefore, the Right Coiling Tiger lowered his head and pretended as if nothing had happened. But it just so happened that when Lin Yi walked to their side, he stopped and stood next to Xiaolong and Right Coiling Tiger's seats, not moving forward. Lin Yi, what are you doing? Are you trying to show off that you beat two robbers? What's there to show off? If you're so strong, why didn't you do anything when Big Bro Kong was fighting the robbers? Right Coiling Tiger felt uncomfortable being stared at by Lin Yi. He had no choice but to bite the bullet and ask Lin Yi. Chapter 2443 _ School Bells Bodyguard Free Reading _ Chapter 2443 updated with an ugly expression. Chapter 2437. Don't open the door yet. I'll go take a look. Lin Yi stood up and strode to the door in front. The bus driver was just about to open the window and ask the two men why they were driving like this, telling them that his bus had just been looted and there was nothing valuable left. But before he could open his mouth, Lin Yi spoke first. The driver hesitated and looked at Boss Bai. After all, he was just a driver for the travel company, and Boss Bai was the teacher of these people. In the end, it was best for Boss Bai to make the decision. Otherwise, if something happened to the students on the bus, the travel company might bear some responsibility. Boss Bai looked at Lin Yi, pondered for a moment and nodded in agreement. Do as he said. Boss Bai knew that Lin Yi was a cultivator. Although he didn't know how high Lin Yi's combat index was, cultivators were always much stronger than ordinary people. Lin Yi must have said that because he wanted to get rid of the two robbers before they got on the bus. This was also Boss Bai's hope. If these two people got on the bus, the students on the bus would have no money in their pockets. They were not afraid of robbers, but he was afraid that these two people did not get anything valuable and would hurt the students on the bus in anger. Thieves would not leave empty-handed. Boss Bai also understood that these people wasted a lot of effort but got nothing. Naturally, they would not be happy. It was normal for them to hurt two students to vent their anger. Although Lin Yi could easily kill them on the bus, Lin Yi would definitely be restrained, afraid that when he killed one the other would hurt the other students. So, it would be best if Lin Yi could get off the bus. Oh, okay. The driver nodded. Since Boss Bai had spoken, it was all Boss Bai's business if anything went wrong. He could get rid of the responsibility. Creak. The electric door of the bus opened, and Lin Yi happened to come to the door of the bus. The two robbers were about to get on the bus. Seeing the door open so cooperatively, they were stunned. Originally, they thought that if the driver was too afraid to open the door, they would break in. This kind of door was easy for the two masters to break, but they didn't expect the door to open by itself. Hello, robber brothers. As soon as Lin Yi opened the door, he greeted the two robbers, one tall and one short. The tall robber and the short robber were both stunned. What was going on with the people in the car? Is there something wrong with him? From the looks of it, it seemed that he was more than welcome to rob it. Otherwise, what was the point of greeting? Excuse me, are you here to rob? Lin Yi continued to ask. We. The two robbers didn't know who Lin Yi was. They'd only seen Wang Xinyan and Han Jingjing's picture, and they'd heard from Pan Hu write that there were only two girls in their class. Lin Yi, on the other hand, had to be the one sitting next to Wang Xinyan and Han Jingjing. They just didn't pay attention to him. After all, as long as he revealed his heaven-rank power, Lin Yi wouldn't dare to act blindly without thinking. Oh, you can go die now, Bai? Lin Yi's words had successfully distracted the two robbers, and when Lin Yi finished speaking he pushed out his palm and shouted, Frenzy 8 trigrams palm, 6th form. This palm was aimed at the tall robber, the late phase peak earth class. With a loud bang, the robber was sent flying by Lin Yi's Frenzy 8 trigrams palm. He was like an arrow that had left a bowstring, shooting into a ditch on the side of the highway. He didn't even have time to scream before he stopped moving. Lin Yi's Frenzy 8 trigrams palm 6th form was equivalent to the 12th form of a normal heaven class skill. The 11th form could cripple Elder Bai, and the 12th form could easily take out an earth class late phase peak Elder Bai. The short robber was shocked. He didn't expect the person to be a practitioner, and realized that this might be the Lin Yi that Pan Hu Wright had mentioned on the phone. He wanted to teach Lin Yi a lesson, but what he didn't expect was that after Lin Yi hit the tall robber, Lin Yi sent another palm towards his chest. Frenzy 8 trigrams palm, 7th form. Lin Yi didn't stop after using the 6th form of the Frenzy 8 trigrams palm. He went straight for the 7th form. This was Lin Yi's strategy, and using the 6th form to trigger the 7th form had a higher chance of success. Pung! The raging fire chi surged out of Lin Yi's palm, concentrating on the chest of the short robber. The chi burst out in an instant, and the short robber screamed in pain, following in the footsteps of the tall robber. The short robber was sent flying by Lin Yi's Frenzy 8 trigrams palm 7th form. Although he managed to stay on his feet after some distance and didn't fall into the ditch like the tall robber, he still wasn't in good shape. He spat out a mouthful of blood and looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. The 13th form of a heaven class skill? How is this possible? You're a heaven class mid-phase? No, you're not. After saying that, the short robber spat out another mouthful of blood. It looked like he had suffered a serious internal injury. When Lin Yi saw the short robber's appearance, he immediately relaxed. Success, he actually succeeded. Previously, Lin Yi also tried to use the 7th form of the Frenzy 8 trigrams palm, but every time he used it there would be some obstacles. But this time, Lin Yi didn't expect that he would succeed in a moment of desperation. Although it was a bit shaky and not very skillful, he still succeeded in the end. Sure enough, in a critical moment, a person's potential was limitless. In the past there was no pressure. Lin Yi just practiced step by step every day and deduced the martial skill. There was no sense of urgency and he wasn't forced to a dead end, so he didn't succeed. But today, when facing a heaven class early phase expert, the 7th form was successfully used. But it had to be said that this was a very lucky thing. Linny was really a bit risky. If he didn't succeed, then he would have lost the best time to make a move. And this heaven-class early-phase expert, Linny didn't have the confidence to injure him. Although the 6th form of the Frenzy 8 trigrams palm was powerful, it was actually equivalent to the 12th form of an ordinary martial skill. That was the martial skill used by a normal heaven-class early-phase or peak heaven-class early-phase expert. In front of the short expert, it could only be regarded as evenly matched. If the two of them clashed, it was hard to say whether Lin Yi or the short robber would be injured, so Lin Yi could only choose to take the risk. Chapter 2438. Oh, is that so? Lin Yi looked at Right Coiling Tiger with a faint smile. Who knew he was so weak? Those robbers from before were far weaker than the Sky and Earth class masters of the Hidden House of You. What do you mean? What masters of the Hidden House of You? Right Coiling Tiger looked at Lin Yi's faint smile and asked back like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. Nothing, you know it in your heart. Lin Yi said lightly and walked to the last row. Brother Yu, why are you and Lin Yi talking in riddles? What do you mean? Xiaolong wasn't a practitioner, so he naturally didn't know the strength of the two robbers Lin Yi fought. He wouldn't have guessed their connection with the Hidden House of You, so he asked in confusion. Brother Kong, we've made a mistake. Right Coiling Tiger said with a bitter face. Those two just now were sent by the Hidden House of You. Those robbers before were real robbers, huh? Xiaolong's eyes widened when he heard Right Coiling Tiger's words. What? The robbers before were real robbers and this time they were from the Hidden House of You? Xiaolong felt like the world was spinning and he almost fainted. The lingering fear made him shiver all over. In other words, he had just walked around the gates of hell? Those people weren't from the Hidden House of You at all. Why would they cooperate with his act? He was lucky that he didn't say anything forcefully in the end. Otherwise he might have been beaten to death. Brother Kong, I'm really sorry. Who knew that things would be so coincidental? Right Coiling Tiger looked at the scared Xiaolong and said with a bitter smile. It's not your fault. Xiaolong listened to Right Coiling Tiger's explanation and his resentment towards him dissipated. It really wasn't Right Coiling Tiger's fault. Who would have thought that he would be so unlucky to meet a group of real robbers? But Xiaolong suddenly thought of an even scarier problem while feeling the lingering fear. He quickly asked, Brother Yu, didn't you say that the people sent by the Hidden House of You were Sky-class masters? How did Lin Yi get rid of them so quickly? He is indeed a Heaven Stage expert. Right Coiling Tiger sighed. A Sky-class early phase and an Earth-class late phase peak, he said helplessly. Although these two masters were not the direct descendants of the Yu family, they were just hangers-on, just like Yu Dake who participated in the Hidden House Summit. After all, they were still part of the Yu family's power. Now that they were crippled by Lin Yi, Yu Panhu was very unhappy. Even if he was not the master of the Hidden Yu family, he would be one of the elders. He was happy that the Hidden Right family was strong, but he could not be happy that the Hidden Right family was badly damaged by Lin Yi. What? A Sky-class early phase and an Earth-class late phase peak? None of them were a match for Lin Yi? Xiaolong's eyes widened. God, what level was Lin Yi at? From what I can see, Lin Yi is only at the peak of mid-Earth class. The only reason he was able to win was because of the element of surprise and the subtlety of his martial technique. Right Coiling Tiger observed carefully, however, there is no need to worry. In Boss Bai's class, Lin Yi won't kill us. Don't worry about his training. Xiaolong nodded and relaxed. Right Coiling Tiger was right. Seeing how Lin Yi killed without batting an eye, the two Hidden Yu family masters were either dead or crippled, and Lin Yi didn't hold back at all. But looking at himself and Right Coiling Tiger, although Lin Yi didn't have a good expression, he didn't use force. He used the strength of a practitioner to suppress them. This made him breathe a sigh of relief. This Lin Yi is really strong? Xiaolong sighed. Indeed. Right Coiling Tiger felt that he made a mistake. What did he mean by Lin Yi was afraid in front of a Sky-class master? What was there to be afraid of? He attacked directly. This time the family's loss was huge. They went for wool and came home shorn. The short robber was resting on the side of the highway for a long time. Only then did he catch his breath. Although Lin Yi's palm wasn't enough to kill him, his injuries weren't light. He quickly went to the ditch to check on the taller robber, but what he saw made his heart go cold. The taller robber's sternum had been shattered. His eyes were bulging out and his mouth was foaming with blood. He was clearly dead. This situation made the short robber doubt Lin Yi's strength again. Was Linny really just an Earth-class mid-phase peak? That palm didn't seem like it. To be able to injure him and kill the taller robber with one palm, how could an Earth-class mid-phase peak do that? Although there were elements of surprise and trickery involved, without that strength, it would be useless no matter how unexpected a sneak attack was. Thinking of this, the short robber's face darkened as he carried the taller robber's corpse to the back seat of the heavy truck. He said to the driver in front, "Drive back to the hidden Yu family, quick." Yes. The driver was just a normal disciple of the Yu family, U-15. He only had Earth-class mid-phase strength. He saw the scene just now and was quite frightened. If he got out of the truck, he would have become a corpse by now. Phew. The short robber let out a long breath. Looking at the taller robber's corpse beside him, he felt a chill in his heart. If Linny had added another palm, he would have been crippled. If Linny had added another palm, he would have died for sure. Originally, he was very confident in this operation because it was too simple. All he had to do was steal a tablet, cooperate with Xiaolong to show off, and then show off his Sky-class early-phase strength. That was it. He could go back and claim his reward. But now it didn't seem simple at all. It was suicide. The car Linny was in had long since driven far away. After Linny returned to his seat, he closed his eyes and began to cultivate, quickly recovering his strength from the jade space. Han Jingjing seemed to remember that Linny was cultivating, so she didn't disturb him and continued to fiddle with the tablet. As for Wang Xinyan, seeing Lin Yi's situation, she hesitated for a moment before taking off her jacket and moving towards Lin Yi. She didn't know why Lin Yi needed to cultivate after fighting the two robbers, but after thinking about it carefully, Wang Xinyan could roughly guess that the two robbers weren't good people. Perhaps they were masters and they'd used up a lot of Lin Yi's strength. Although Xiaolong was sitting not far in front, after a period of internal struggle, Wang Xinyan still decided to help Lin Yi. She wanted to speed up the speed of his practitioner's arts so that he could recover faster. Chapter 2439. She was sure in her heart that she didn't like Xiaolong. Even if Xiaolong stood up and got beaten up, Xinyan only felt gratitude and sympathy for him. It was basically impossible for her to have a good impression of Xiaolong. Linny didn't think that Xinyan would still make such a bold move when Xiaolong was in the car. It made him surprised and happy, but at the same time he was confused. All the signs showed that Xinyan should like him, but why didn't she accept his confession? Although Xinyan's reason was that she had a fiancé, her actions betrayed her. If she really thought that Xiaolong was her fiancé, why would she be so close to him? Why wouldn't she stand up and care for Xiaolong after he got beaten up? Phew. Finally, after the car arrived at the destination, Lin Yi also recovered his energy. He breathed a sigh of relief, but at the same time he smiled bitterly. The raging fire Bagua Palm was indeed very powerful. It could even injure a Sky-class early-stage master, but using it was really exhausting. Lin Yi had only used the 6th and 7th forms, and he had already used up all his energy. It seemed that it was impossible to use the 7th form twice in a row. It might be possible during normal practice, but it might not be possible when facing an enemy. In this way, Lin Yi only had powerful martial arts methods, but he couldn't use them at full strength. It was a kind of sorrow. He could obviously fight against a Sky-class early stage or even a peak early stage master, but because his own strength was too weak, he could only choose to retreat. However, Lin Yi shook his head again. He was really greedy. With the strength of a peak middle stage Earth class, he had the strength to fight against a Sky-class early stage master, and even seriously injure a Sky-class early stage master. This kind of battle record was unprecedented, right? Although it couldn't be used frequently, it could be used as the last resort and last resort. Although the power wasn't as powerful as a Qi bomb, it was much easier to use than a Qi bomb. Even if it couldn't be used immediately, it could be used as a last resort. Although the car that Lin Yi was in had some trouble halfway, the driver still managed to catch up with the car in front. Although Lin Yi's car encountered some trouble halfway, the driver still managed to catch up with the car in front. December was a good time for skiing, and this place was also a tourist attraction, so there were many tourists. At least 2 or 3 students from 2 or 3 schools chose to hold winter outings here, including a high school. After the driver parked the bus, he told everyone to get off. The bus driver wiped the sweat off his forehead as he looked at the students getting off the bus. They had encountered 2 groups of robbers along the way. Fortunately, the second group was weaker and there was a student who knew martial arts. Before the robbers could get into the car, the robbers were chased away. Otherwise, things would have been very troublesome. However, the students didn't think as much as the bus driver. When they arrived at their destination, all of them were in a good mood and had long forgotten about the previous unhappiness. They had regained their spirits and were excitedly discussing the scenery and attractions of the ski resort. Of course, there were exceptions. For example, Xiaolong and Tiger Wright's group. Xiaolong's face was pale and he grimaced in pain. The wounds on his butt and face were mostly healed, but his balls were hurting. It wouldn't be healed in a short time. Wright Panhu, on the other hand, was panicking. He had to call his family to confirm if the two masters they sent were the ones Lin Yi had crippled. Lin Yi, Han Jingjing and Wang Xinyan got off the bus, and Bai Weitua and Zhao Xingji also got off with He Meiwei and Chai Xiaoling. Because we wasted a lot of time on the road, but in the end we were all safe. I'm afraid everyone is hungry now, right? I've booked a few tables of delicious food at a nearby restaurant. Let's go eat something first. Only when you're full will you have the strength to ski. Boss Bai said after all the students got off the bus. When the students heard Boss Bai's words, they were really hungry. After all, it was already noon, and with the fright on the bus, their stomachs were already empty. They all agreed. Although this winter outing was held in the faculty, after arriving at the ski resort. In fact, it was still an activity for each faculty. After all, none of the resorts and hotels here could accommodate all the biology students, so the task of leading the students to eat and stay fell on the head of the faculty. Boss Bai, on the other hand, found a restaurant and ordered some delicious food. The students went to a small restaurant nearby. Although the restaurant didn't look very luxurious, it had a rustic feel and there were many customers inside. Boss Bai had clearly told them beforehand, so when everyone arrived, the dishes were quickly served. Although they were all ordinary farm dishes, they were very exquisite, making people salivate. After Lin Yi, Han Jingjing and Wang Xinyan sat down, unexpectedly Xiaolong sat on the other side of Wang Xinyan. Originally, this seat was supposed to be He Meiwei's, but because He Meiwei was a step slower, Xiaolong took the seat first. Wang Xinyan was sandwiched between Lin Yi and Xiaolong and her face froze. She was blaming herself in her heart. Why did she sit so close to Lin Yi? Wasn't that giving him trouble? Wasn't Xiaolong here now? He Meiwei walked to Xiaolong's side helplessly. Senior Kong, you're sitting on my seat? This is your seat? Xiaolong pretended to be surprised. When we entered the restaurant, didn't Professor Bai say that everyone could sit wherever they wanted? But I'm good friends with Wang Xinyan. You wouldn't let me stand here alone, would you? He Meiwei blinked, deciding to help Lin Yi and Wang Xinyan. Junior sister, it's not that I don't want to give you my seat, but I'm injured. Look, I'm injured all over my body. You won't be so inconsiderate as a senior, will you? Xiaolong smiled bitterly and said pitifully. He Meiwei was speechless. She didn't think that Xiaolong would come up with this reason, but she really couldn't reject it. Why don't you switch seats with Lin Yi? He's not injured and he's very healthy. He even fought off 2 robbers just now. Xiaolong kicked the ball to Lin Yi. Forget it then. He Meiwei was a little speechless. What was the point of swapping Lin Yi out? Xiaolong didn't think that being injured would be a blessing in disguise. If He Meiwei wanted to switch seats with him, he wouldn't have any reason to reject her. To be continued. Chapter 2440. Lin Yi didn't expect Xiaolong to be this shameless, but there was nothing he could do about it. Out of sight, out of mind, out of mind. The food here was really good. Perhaps it was because everyone was hungry, but they couldn't stop praising these farm dishes. Xiaolong wanted to find something to talk about with Xinyan, but everyone was eating and the atmosphere was a little heavy. He didn't know what to say. These few days, Xiaolong had been reading a novel that Kong Mingming had recommended to him. It was called So Pure, So Flirtatious Prequel. It was said that there were a lot of tips on picking up girls and interesting things to do at the ski resort, so he decided to study it at the last minute. He was really engrossed in it, thinking that it was really useful. He suddenly remembered that the main character in the novel liked to tell jokes to his girlfriend, and that made the girl laugh out loud. Xiaolong felt that he should tell Xinyan a joke as well. I'm sure everyone's depressed because of the robbers, right? Seeing that everyone's so focused on eating and not talking, why don't I tell you a few jokes? Xiaolong said. Sure. Tiger Wright, who wasn't far from Xiaolong, was the first to cheer. Haha, this joke is actually a brain twister. Xiaolong turned to Xinyan with a smile. What's that? It comes out from the butt, but it's still edible? What? Everyone froze, and even Tiger Wright's expression froze. He felt a little disgusted. They were all eating, why did they mention something that came out of the butt? Wasn't that shit? Xinyan, do you know? Xiaolong didn't notice the weird expressions on everyone's faces. He was focused on making Xinyan happy, and didn't think too much about it. He was an idiot when it came to relationships, or else he wouldn't have gone to those books to learn how to pick up girls. Don't know? Xinyan was focused on her food, and her face froze when she heard Xiaolong's words. She was speechless. It seems like no one knows. Then I'll reveal the answer. Xiaolong said proudly. The answer is, an egg. Haha, an egg comes out of a chicken's butt. How's that? Fun, right? Ah. Xinyan's chopsticks just happened to be holding a piece of egg. Her hand shook and the egg fell onto the table. His expression was as strange as it could be. Ugh. Xiaolong realized that something wasn't right too. He didn't expect Xinyan to be eating an egg at that exact moment. He felt a little awkward. Xinyan, I was just joking, ha. Don't mind it, keep eating. Eggs come out of a chicken's butt, but don't they have shells? There's a saying that goes, make mud without being stained. This is the principle. Ahem. I'm full. Xinyan put down her chopsticks, having lost her appetite from Xiaolong. Lin Yi picked up a piece of egg and put it in his mouth. He looked at Xiaolong faintly. Done? I'm done? Xiaolong's heart skipped a beat. He didn't believe that Lin Yi would do anything to him in front of everyone, but Lin Yi's calm tone just now was enough to scare him. Xiaolong couldn't help but get nervous. If you're done, then hurry up and eat. Lin Yi took a bottle of corn juice and gave it to Xinyan. Have some corn juice, you don't seem to have eaten much. Oh? Xinyan took the juice. She really didn't have much of an appetite after Xiaolong made her lose her appetite. Xiaolong was a little annoyed, it seemed like his brain wasn't working properly after the beating. He said something that pissed Xinyan off, but he didn't dare say anything else. He just sat there quietly and ate his food. Su Lingzi was the leader of the gangsters around the ski resort. Whenever he had nothing better to do, he'd bring his two lackeys, Ada and Aer, around the ski resort, collecting protection fees from the businesses nearby. Teasing pretty girls was something he enjoyed doing every day. Of course, the reason why Su Lingzi was able to do so well here without the ski resort taking any action was because he had a good uncle. His uncle was the general manager of the ski resort, and he turned a blind eye to his nephew's actions. The businesses in the ski resort were already making a lot of money anyways, and even if his nephew tried to extort them, they wouldn't stop paying the second year's rent. As long as there weren't any problems with the accounts, the chairman of the group wouldn't pay attention to the details of a ski resort under his banner. Today, Dazi Su brought his two lackeys to the farmhouse where Lin Yi and the others were, but when he saw that the place was full today, Dazi Su's face turned ugly. Ada, Aer, clear out a table for me. Su Lingzi ordered his two lackeys. Yes, brother Lingzi. Ada and Aer quickly answered and started choosing their targets. While Ada and Aer were choosing their targets, Su Lingzi's eyes didn't stay idle. He looked at Wang Xinyan. This was a first-class beauty, and Rash Su's hobby was to flirt with beauties. His eyes lit up when he saw Wang Xinyan. Wait. Su Lingzi waved his hand, signaling Ada and Aer to slow down. What's wrong, brother Lingzi? Ada quickly asked. There's a pretty girl. Su Lingzi pointed at Wang Xinyan's table. Han Jingjing was a pretty girl, but she was eating and playing with her tablet with her head down, so Su Lingzi didn't see her. Plus, the first person he saw was Wang Xinyan, so he automatically ignored everyone else. Su Lingzi walked behind Wang Xinyan with a smile, looking left and right. On one side was Lin Yi and on the other side was Xiaolong. Su Lingzi wasn't an idiot. He saw that Lin Yi was unharmed, and Xiaolong's face was full of bruises, so he decided to pick a pushover. Pretty girl, not bad. I like it. Su Lingzi teased Xinyan and slapped the back of Xiaolong's head, yelling, Kid, stand up. Fuck. There was a big bump on the back of Xiaolong's head. Although he'd applied some medicine, it wasn't completely gone, and Su Lingzi's slap made him grimace in pain. He jumped up and glared at Su Lingzi. He'd already been pissed off enough. A couple of real robbers beat him up and he didn't know what was going on. He got beaten up for nothing, and now he couldn't find anyone to take revenge on. After being scolded by Lin Yi, he didn't dare piss off Lin Yi, so he could only endure it. But after being slapped on the head by a gangster, Xiaolong couldn't take it anymore. To be continued? Chapter 2441. especially when he wanted to tell jokes to Xinyan, but not only did he fail to do so, he made her so disgusted that she couldn't eat anymore. He couldn't let go of this chance to make up for it. Xiaolong stood up abruptly and pointed at Dazi Su. Do you want to die? How dare you tease my fiancé? Do you know who I am? Are you trying to be cocky with me? I wouldn't have bothered with you if you'd just stepped aside. Ada Ayer beat him up. Dazi Su looked at Xiaolong's bruised face. No wonder he was covered in bruises, he was asking for a beating. Yes, Dazi bro. Ada and Ayer walked over, smiling darkly. Both of them were experts in fighting. Ada picked up a plastic stool and put it over Xiaolong's head, locking him in place. Ayer, on the other hand, aimed a kick at Xiaolong's crotch. Watch. Xiaolong's upper body was covered by the plastic stool, and he couldn't tell north from south. He couldn't see what was going on in front of him, and he didn't know how to dodge. Ayer's kick hit him squarely, and his vision went black as he knelt on the ground. This was the second time he'd gotten his balls kicked today, and he'd almost exploded. Fortunately, he had some experience protecting his crotch, or he wouldn't be able to do it after today. Tiger Yu was eating at the other table when he saw Xiaolong getting into trouble. He wanted to see what was going on, but before he could understand what was going on, Xiaolong got beaten up. Tiger Yu paled. Xiaolong had just gotten beaten up, and if he got beaten up again, wouldn't he have to be hospitalized? He was so scared that he quickly ordered the yellow hair and purple hair, "Hurry up and save Brother Kong." Yes, what about those gangsters? Yellow and purple quickly stood up and asked as they walked. Beat them up, just don't die. Tiger Yu was pissed as well. Today wasn't going well at all. All sorts of random people were jumping out at him. Why was he so unlucky? With right coiling Tiger's order. The yellow-haired man and purple-haired man naturally had no scruples. Each of them grabbed Ada's and Ayer's hair and lifted them up. With a gentle turn, Ada and Ayer were like goods. They were thrown into the restaurant's ceiling with a loud bang. Then the two men fell from the ceiling to the ground. There was another loud noise. Ayer was still fine, but Ada's head was facing the ground and he fell like a dog biting you. All of his teeth fell out, and his mouth was filled with blood as he cried out miserably. Even Dae Su was dumbfounded. Although he was a hoodlum, he was usually brave and aggressive. But he had never seen a fight like this. Were these two people Hercules or something? Ada and Ayer were sent flying with just a gentle swing? Stunned Su's expression changed. He knew that he'd met a real tough opponent today. He wanted to apologize with a smile, but the yellow-haired man and purple-haired man wouldn't give him the chance. The yellow-haired man grabbed his hair and kicked him down. Then he and the purple-haired man kicked him and Ada and Ayer, turning them into 3 bloody gourds. The yellow-haired man and the purple-haired man were both practitioners. Even if they didn't use pure chi, beating these hoodlums was a piece of cake. Xiaolong finally removed the plastic stool from his head, breathing heavily as he glared at the 3 people who'd made him attack. He started kicking and kicking them. The 3 who were already half dead were crying for their fathers and mothers. I didn't know that your men were so good at fighting. Then why didn't you do anything when Xiaolong was getting beaten up in the car? You're talking about me, aren't you? Linny said indifferently. Coiling Tiger Yu paused, remembering that he didn't let the yellow-haired man and the purple-haired man do anything. Linny probably saw something wrong, but he couldn't admit it right now. He laughed it off. There were so many people on the car and the robber had a gun. I let my men do it, but I couldn't guarantee the safety of the other students. Linny smiled and didn't say anything else. However, after Stunned Su was beaten up, the owner of the restaurant secretly called the general manager of the ski resort. Stunned Su and his men had done a lot of bad things and the owner of the restaurant hated them. Not only did they collect protection fees, but they also came here to eat and drink for free. But at the end of the day, Stunned Su was the nephew of the general manager. Something happened in his restaurant, and the owner of the restaurant wanted to distance himself from it. And so, after Coiling Tiger Yu's men beat up the hooligans, a group of security guards rushed in and surrounded Xiaolong and Tiger Yu. Kid, you've got some guts. You dare hit our general manager's nephew? The security captain sneered as he looked at Coiling Tiger Yu, the yellow-haired man, the purple-haired man, and the beaten-up Xiaolong. He's lucky he didn't die. Coiling Tiger Yu, of course, wasn't afraid of these security guards. Yellow hair, purple hair, he's too talkative. Throw him out. Yes, Master Yu. The yellow-haired man and the purple-haired man replied and walked towards the security captain. The yellow-haired man grabbed the security captain's collar directly. However, when he was about to grab the security captain's collar, the security captain actually broke free in an instant. The purple-haired man looked at the security captain, surprised. Golden class mid-face? The security captain's face changed. He didn't think that the people in front of him could see through his training. This meant that the people in front of him weren't normal people. Who are you people? The captain of the security team hesitated for a moment, and his tone softened a lot. Someone who knew about cultivators and could tell his strength was at least a cultivator. The security captain only used his pure chi when he dodged, and that was how the people in front of him saw through his strength. Ha! The purple-haired man laughed coldly, showing off his mystic class mid-phase strength. He didn't dare to show off in front of Lin Yi, but a small security captain was only a golden class mid-phase. He didn't put him in his eyes. Mystic class mid-phase? The security captain's face changed. He hesitated and cupped his fists. Which road are you from, sir? Don't rush into the Temple of the Dragon King. The ski resort I'm at is the property of the Fire Wolf Group. Fire Wolf Group? Coiling Tiger, you paused. He didn't think that the ski resort was the property of the Fire Wolf Group. Yes. The security captain's face changed again. To be able to call out the Fire Wolf Group meant that these people knew quite a bit. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.